What is going on, people? Jumping into this podcast to let you know about our incredible sponsors, Trained by JP, aka TBJP, the one-stop shop for all your bodybuilding needs. Whether you're looking for supplements or clothing, they have it all. Quite possibly the biggest range of subs you will find anywhere in the world, end of. Whether you're looking for pre-workouts, stim-free or high-stim, intra-workout shakes, post-workout cream of rices, vegan supplements, it is all there for you, as well as the highest grade of health subs that you will need in your arsenal. Check them out. It's www.tb-jp.com, and on there you will also find all the clothing which they release multiple times per year, but get your hands on them quick because they are limited drops. Use the discount code MAGIC10 for money off. Help the brother out, and let's get back to the podcast. Peace. Right, so welcome back to the Beautiful Struggle podcast, episode number 14. We have a very, very special guest. The big one.
It is the big one. It's the biggest physically and socially guests we've had so far.
100%. Very proud to have seen the come up. Good friend to both of us. One of the first people that I actually got to shoot way back in the day, technically. So to see the rise over the last couple of years has been amazing, but just as amazing is to see that the person that he is hasn't changed.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So without further ado, we would like to welcome Samson Dauda.
Guys, thank you very much.
Welcome,
Thanks
brother.
for having me here, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Making that sofa look very small.
Yeah, it's
Really
struggling.
comfy, man. Like,
Lean in slightly.
That's
think-
like go up. That's like
I think every time I see you, the arms get bigger.
Oh man, but it's been one hell of a journey, man.
It's been a ride, man.
It's been a really journey. I mean, the other day someone sent me a photo of one of our shows in UKBFF.
Yeah.
I think it was the 2016 British Championship.
Yep.
It was the 16 one.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, it's definitely been a long road.
Yeah, because 15, do you come third?
Yeah, 50. I came third to you.
I got some claims from back in the day before Samson realised his potential.
Still holding on to those tight.
That was awesome, because when you look back at that, you know, you kind of realize how long it's been. It doesn't feel like it's been a long time,
No.
but it's actually been a long time, and
Yeah.
it's so amazing, man, because it's like we've all watched each other grow up through that,
Yeah.
and sitting back and looking back at it now,
It's the evolution of it all, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know,
So that's 8 years, is it? So
It's 8 years,
2015,
but like Samson says, I always like think about time like this as well. It's weird how you think, because it doesn't feel like 8 years ago.
No.
But then when you say 8 years, I think 2015, that British finals 2015 for me seems so long ago.
yeah, and that's
But
it.
8 years doesn't seem like a long time.
No, it doesn't. You know, so you do kind of have this so weird feeling when you're like, man, it's all happened quickly, but then at the same time be like, yeah, but I remember that was a long time ago.
So much
you
has
know?
happened in between.
Yeah.
So many shows.
Yep.
So many off seasons. So many training sessions.
Yep.
And you probably get it now still. People only see the present day.
Yeah.
No, and
People
that's
only see with you
yeah.
the last show.
Yeah. You know, they only see the now, they see this period.
See the
now.
tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, you know,
and
I know.
everything.
They forget the struggles. That's why we're here to discuss.
Yes.
But they
Oh,
forget the career.
Yeah.
They forget 2020
Yep.
He is the epitome of the beautiful struggle,
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
if you think about it.
for sure.
Man, it definitely has been a struggle. And you know what? It's been worth it.
Yeah.
There's no getting away from that. It's been, and you know what? It's like you're looking back at it now, and I remember at the time how hard it felt and how I felt about it, mentally, emotionally. I just felt like, man, what the hell am I doing wrong? Why the hell is this all not working for me? Why am I just grinding my wheels and struggling and not getting where I want to?
Yeah.
And at the time, you feel disappointed, you feel heartbroken, you feel like this is all for nothing. And it felt for a long time. It felt like that, you know, working jobs, doing this. And honestly, now when I'm here, I look back and I'm going, I see why every single of that what happened then needed to happen for me to be appreciated where I am now.
Yeah.
You know.
I always say that. I always say it makes sense in the end.
Yeah.
Things happen for a reason.
It really does.
So before we get into all that stuff, because that's like more present day, we want to rewind it back.
Oh yeah.
Before bodybuilding, I think, for people,
Yeah.
because we want to know like your come up, where you started, your roots, your upbringing. Just tell us from the start.
So yeah, man. So born originally in Nigeria, Parents, we reside in the north, even though we're from the east. As a kid, very quiet, very shy, very soft-spoken. Obviously, coming up in a very disciplined household.
Yep.
7 brothers and sisters, so
wow.
big family.
Yeah.
Being this one of the youngest one, you know your place very quickly.
Yeah.
You learn to learn your place.
Keep
very
your mouth
quickly.
shut and sit in the corner.
And for me, not in a bad way, but I didn't have a connection with my parents like most people would do. Like, I never felt like my dad was never that close to me. My mom was never that close to me. So I never grew up with that sort of connection.
Yeah.
So as soon as I got I was about 12 years old, I was moved to boarding house.
Right.
And that is where, as a child, that's where I was raised. I was raised in this boarding house system where you had teachers that, to tell you what to do. You wake up at a certain time, you do your bed, you have discipline, you have, if not, you get a cane, you get a beatings, like any African. You got the serious like army discipline in boarding house. And where I was a child, and that was my turning point of learning about life.
Yeah.
And that's where I grew up in that, in that sort of system. And it soon quickly teaches you to be fearful of authority figure.
Yeah.
To be mindful and fearful of people that are older than you, people that are in position of power over you.
Yeah.
And that causes you sort of like go within yourself. So you don't tend to talk too much. You don't tend to tell people how you feel. You don't tend to let people in. You tend to be very closed off. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, through boarding and everything, that was me, especially in Nigeria, where you protect yourself that way.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I just do what I'm told. I don't need to listen. I just need to talk back. I just need to do what I told. And throughout my whole time was that. So when I then moved to the UK when I got to 16, it was completely new concept for me. The idea that I go into school here in the UK, I'm in a classroom and people are talking back to the teachers.
Yeah.
It's like,
what's
oh my
this
God.
like?
Dude, you talk about in a system where we're in a classroom. If one person does something wrong, the teacher beats the whole classroom. They punish the whole classroom.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Not just the one person. They punish all of us. So that way we hold each other to account.
Yeah.
So you're coming for that system where if someone does something silly in class, you're like, dude, you're gonna get all of us in trouble.
Yeah.
Keeps everyone in touch a little bit. Yeah.
So when you then come to the UK and it's like freedom of speech and to express yourself.
Yeah.
That was foreign to me. That was what is this thing?
Easy life.
And it's weird because you don't even know how to do it. You don't know how to do it. And obviously there you're still sort of held and really, really reserved, and the teachers couldn't really get through to you because they didn't understand where you've come from. They didn't understand any of that. They just he's a really quiet kid. He doesn't
put you in a box then, I guess, of being this intricate kind of socially awkward person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you are socially awkward because you come in from Africa, you don't know the dialogue, you don't know the system, you don't know how things work here. You're trying to learn it, but you're still just
it's culture shock, isn't it?
It's a culture shock, you know. So that sort of put me in a position where right from there, I was bad as talking. I was bad as putting out my feelings and talking to people, and sort of telling what people I felt. Even when people told me to do something that was wrong, just because they were in position of authority, I felt like I had no right to challenge them. Yeah. So I just did it anyway. Yeah. And through my life, it has been something that's affected me over and over and again into so many situations. So kind of going through that, eventually I think it got to a point where I was just aware enough, because I remember when I even came here, I didn't even know how to read. I was 15, I couldn't read. I couldn't read, I couldn't write. And I couldn't tell, because in Nigeria, if your teacher hears you can't read or write, they don't go, oh, let me teach you. Yeah. They think it's your fault. And they punish you because you can't read or write. Wow. So you can't even tell a teacher, look, I'm struggling, I don't know how to read, can you teach me? Yeah. Because in their eyes, you're a stubborn child. You don't know how to read or write. It's your fault. So when you kind of come here and it's like, you try to hide that. Yeah. You don't even you learn to hide it. Yeah. So when I come here, eventually sort of grew up with knowledge and seeing around to say, actually, people here would help you if you ask for it. Mm-hmm. So I remember going to my first English teacher and I told her, look, I'm from Nigeria, whatever, I don't know how to read, can you help me? Yeah. And I was surprised the way she kind of looked in awe, like, of course I'll help you. And I'm like, ooh, I was taken back by it. And I remember her sort of taking the time after classes and everything and teaching me and sort of bringing me up to speed in how things work here. And sort of, I think that when she took a chance where I understood where I was coming from and why everything here seems to be so foreign for me. Right. And why I didn't get along with the other kids and why I didn't do a lot of things. And the only thing I could ever do that I was good at was sports. Yeah. Because it requires no talking, no saying, just your self-action. Yeah. So I was really good at that. So football, let's go. Running, let's go. Track and field, all that that was my thing. Basketball, that was my thing. So it was like the only outlet I truly had to be like,
sport.
This is me, you know. So I did that, and you know, we kind of grew up, went through college. Even when I remember when I was young, you know, people would ask you, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I remember having no answer for them.
Yeah.
I didn't have no, like literally no iota of what I was going to be when I grew up. You know, it was just a foreign aspect for me.
Yeah.
So you know how you in school, you have what was the day where they teach it? You sort of find what you want to do when you grow up.
Yeah.
You speak to the teacher, and
career advisor, yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember having that, and you know, they asked me
no answer,
and I literally had no answer. And I remember the teacher saying to me, you know, I know that you're really good with your hands, you're good with work and doing those physical things. What about if you look into like building work and construction and stuff like that? So I told them, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. So that was how I went to do college, and I went to do building work in college and everything else. I loved it. I was like, hey, you know, give me a graph, give me numbers, give me everything you want me to build, and I'll get crack on with it. I get left alone, I do it, all great. Yeah. You know, so that became like
what you were known for.
That's what I was known for. That was my outlet. That was it. And then playing football or playing basketball on the side, that was my balance for me. That was like, okay, now it felt like I got a purpose now. At least I know if I grow up, I could always do building work. I have something. I have a future.
Backup plan, innit?
I have a backup plan. This is something I'm growing up to do. So, you know, with that comes a little bit of confidence. It comes, okay, now I'm no longer so restrained. Now I can actually speak out because I feel more confident in myself. But even then, you know, when we played sports and stuff like that, it was still the point where, because I mean, being kids, right? We used to have this thing like my family where it was like, if you try too hard to impress, you're a show off. Yeah. And they let you know you're a big-headed show off. So when you get that so much, you tend to limit how good you express yourself, or you do something, even though you're good at it. You limit that because you don't want to be seen as a show off. So when I was playing sports, I was good enough in sports, but I always held back because I didn't want to be seen as, oh, dude, you're showing off. So I always held back. We played football. I could run around and score a goal, but I wouldn't do it because I know it's off. Basketball, same thing. There's always a limit to, okay, I'll be good enough to show you that I'm good, but I would never do.
You'd never take it into sixth gear.
So when I then moved to Colchester, and I joined the coach's rugby team, I remember someone telling me that it was just basically out of the whim, I just fancied doing a new sport. And they said, why don't you try rugby? And I was like, ooh, you know, watching rugby is like violent. And I was like, man, maybe there's a part of me that really enjoyed this. Right? It's violent. I was like, okay, shit, let me go give it a try. And you know, I kind of went in there, did the trial for the team and everything else. And I was really small, man. I was like 11 stone, like 75 kilos. Wow. Skinny, fast as hell, and you know, whatever. So for me, this was my game. I mean,
what year was this, bro?
This was back in, I started in 2011. Right. You know, so for me, it was like, well, I just grab the ball and run with it. I'm like, shit, I'll be gone all day. You ain't never seen me with this one. So it felt like, you know, that was sort of working for me. So I moved to Colchester because I was playing for a Colchester rugby club. Started playing that for the team, and they were sort of teaching me how to play the game and sort of getting into it. And I really loved it. And that time, it was the same sort of aspect always lay behind me was, be good enough just to show that, oh yeah, you can do something. But you almost find an excuse not to go further. You always find an excuse to hold yourself back because you didn't want people to sort of feel uncomfortable around you because they know that you're good at something to that extent. So you always held back. You always, you know,
it's mad, isn't it?
You know, and this is the thing is that point where you hold back to make people around you feel comfortable. So you and your teammates and everything else, you can't. It's very hard, you know, when you excel at someone, and the person next to you doesn't. And you can't have the same conversation about it because you then feel like you're trying not to hurt their feelings, trying to watch their personality for it. But you can't say too much about what you can do, and they can't talk about it too much. So you hold back to avoid those kind of conversations, those situations. At the same time, authority figures, coaches, head of staff, anything like that, I don't get on with. Just not in a bad way, but I just don't talk to. I can't communicate to it because that fear was already ingrained in me. So I always have that
authority
thing is always like, okay, so fear of that. So when I did jobs, same thing happens in my job, you know. It's something like, especially when you're doing a building work, you know, the guys always get together, you know, we chat, we banter.
Lads,
you know, building work. I didn't have that. No. You know, I was very quiet and everything. I just wanted to come to work, do my job, and go home. Now, when you're like that in a place where everybody's are lads and you're the one guy that just seem to not want to communicate, they don't look at it and go, oh, maybe he's not that kind of guy, or maybe he has things that he's just not his personality. They look at it as in terms of, yeah, there's something wrong with him. He's arrogant. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to socialize with us because he thinks it's too. They look at it more negatively. So most of the jobs I did, I got in trouble for not being a team player. And not in terms of doing the job, but just not doing things socially. So I worked first. I mean, I can imagine the kind of jobs I've done. I've been a post delivery guy. I've been a refuse collector bin guy. I've been a bloody hell. Think about it. Like worked at the factory. Worked a few factory jobs. Man, I can literally think. Building work, obviously, did that. Worked at the hospital as a potter for 10 years, did that. Then jumped into build maintenance work at the hospital, did that. And every one of those jobs, he always ends up being the same thing. I always end up getting in trouble for those kind of things, those kind of infringement of, oh, we don't see you. You're not part of the team. You're not getting in. And it always seemed to lead up to the same route where you then have this thing that people they feel like, well, you can talk, but you don't want to talk with us. Maybe you feel like you're too good for us.
Too good,
You know, they always have that sort of thing where they use against you like that. And you kind of saying, but I come here, I do my job, and I go home. Why is that not what you hired me for? Why is that a problem? But you didn't understand that the notion of the way people see it is more to it than that. So when you then obviously start playing rugby, it was same exact dynamics. You know, rugby players, I think rugby was the first time where they noticed that. You know, the team sport, the team dynamic is more than just, okay.
Rugby guys are crazy, aren't
exactly,
they?
you know, and they will get you out. They will bring you out. So they'll know. I remember when they do that, and for me, I really wanted that. I really wanted to be part of that. I really wanted to feel that. So I didn't close myself off from it for once. I actually said, look, when they say, oh guys, we're going to finish the game, we're going to have a drink. I'm like, sod it, let's go.
But ain't no drink. It's not normal.
It's not a drink. It's we're going to get pissed. You know? So after the game, we did that, and I think they sort of understood that, okay, it's not because he doesn't want to, or it's just his character. He's not that. So they started helping me get out my shell more. They started sort of coaching me in that sense of making me feel like, okay, I'm part of the team. We're in this together. And I loved rugby for that. I really loved it because it really did sort of make me feel involved in something and sort of kind of edging for. So obviously, still being a skinny little kid, obviously, told me, hey, you might want to
beef up a bit.
It'll be right. You gotta
just a little bit.
You know, you can always tell because after a rugby game, we go to after meal and they give you a little bit more extra portions. Here, you need a little bit more burger. Go on, you know. So I picked up the hints, you know, and I was like, okay. Then I was still working in the hospital while I was doing that, so I went up to like one of the nurses that was there, and I knew that she was in. I was so telling her, having a chat with her, I said, yeah, you know, I want to go to the gym, I want to beef up a bit. And she was like, yeah, my husband is a pro bodybuilder, he's a bodybuilder. And I was like, oh really? He owns a gym in Southend. Yeah, I can put you up with him, you could just chat to him and he might give you some tips. I thought, hey, oh shit, why not, you know? So I remember driving up and going to this gym, and this is like a proper old school gym where it's like this old rundown building, and the gym is actually in the basement of an old rundown building.
Oh wow.
So you kind of like, okay, pulled up outside looking and going, okay, and they got like this metal black door with no windows, so you don't even know if the building is abandoned or not. So you kind of like, okay, I opened it up, walked down the stairs, and I tell you what, as a kid, you're walking down the stairs and you see big guys sitting in a gym reception and just having a chat, and you're walking in there. Yeah, that is a very intimidating sight. It makes you think like, okay, maybe I came to the wrong place here. And you kind of come in and have this little squeaky voice going, excuse me, I'm just looking for, I just want to speak to Chris, please. You know, so I come in and I asked my friend Chris.
Oh, so this was Chris Jones.
This is Chris Jones.
Right.
You know, it was his gym. And he was behind the tent. He jumps up like, yeah, what can I help you? And I told him, oh, your wife sent me. He's and he automatically, this welcoming attitude of just delight, you know, for someone so big and so thin at the time. I was looking and going, holy crap. But he was so welcoming and said, oh yeah, come on, let me have a look at you. And he's talking to me and he's having banter and they're all laughing about it. And he was like, oh, let me, Vanna told me you have abs, let me see. They lived and go, oh, yeah, you know. And he's like, he was really welcoming like that. And he's sort of like, okay, he wrote me down a program and said, okay, like, you got to eat, you got to do this. And say, look, take this away, see how you get on and let me know. So I took it away, went off, and I stuck to it religiously. Like, started eating properly, started doing everything else. And then 6 months later, I came back to him, and he was like, dude, you put on like a stone.
Yeah.
And he was really, like, he was blown back. He was like, wow, this is crazy, you know. And at that point, I was still playing rugby. And what happens, the rugby players started noticing I was getting bigger as well.
Yeah.
And then we would go to the change room, we'd have showers, and they'd be like, dude, you're getting a body on you. Like, what's going on with that? And I was like, I was like, yeah, you know, thanks, you know, thank you very much. And at the same time, I was going to the gym, and that's why we met my partner in the gym.
Yeah.
And she sort of said to me, then we started training together. We just started training. And honestly, I was just training with her because I wanted to chat her up. There was nothing. There was no dynamic. I was
that
like,
was the angle.
That was my angle, man. I just wanted to chat her up. I was like, all right, we could be training partners. Yeah, I help you spot. Like, yeah. So we started training together and everything else. And eventually, you know, she started saying the same thing to me, going, "Have you ever thought about bodybuilding?" I was like, bodybuilding? What's this bodybuilding thing? What was that? I think in fact this was in 2013.
Wow, yeah.
You know, and I'm like, what's this bodybuilding stuff? I don't know what this is. Yeah. And I sort of really shrugged it off, like it wasn't something I was aware of, you know, other than knowing that Chris was one person that did it. I wasn't even something I was looking into. So carried on for another 6 months and still growing slightly, and we're hearing the same thing. And the guys at the rugby club started telling me, dude, have you ever thought about doing a physique competition? I'm like, why? Everybody keep fucking saying this. And I know you guys are, look, you got great symmetry, man. You need to think about it. You know, you got good proportions. It might be something you might be into. Okay, well, don't really care what that's about. So kind of ignored it. And partner, obviously, she's still saying the same thing to me, that, you know what, you'll be good at it. I think you'll be really good at it. It's gonna work well for you. You probably, you know, get on well. You train hard. You focus. You know, it might be something that you want to do. And think about it, I've always been into team sports. So for me, this was a bit of a stretch. I'm like, okay, I'm being a rugby guy. It's like, I'm not gonna walk around on stage in my pants. Are you kidding me, man? I'm a rugby guy. You know. So eventually, I think one of the guys now Jim at the time, he went off and he did I think it's like a pure elite or some other competition, and he won. And he came over, like, he was really proud. He was like, and I was like, if he can win it, I'm sure I can win something as well. I'm like, what the hell is this all about? So I went and I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's try this. Let's actually do this. So we're like, okay. And that was the first moment where I actually started looking up what actually bodybuilding was. You know, you're going on internet, going on YouTube, and I'm seeing Jay, and I'm seeing Ronnie, and I'm thinking, holy shit, I didn't know people could get this big. I was like, is this even humanly possible? What the hell is this? It was just like another world for me, you know. And at the same time, I watched my first Olympia, 2013 Olympia, Phil Heath, Kai Green, oh my God. That just blew my mind. And I'm looking at it, I'm going, this is ridiculous. And at the time, you don't even look at it and go, that's what I'm going to be. I want to be. You're just looking going, this is insane. I just want a little bit of that. Just, you know, a little bit. Just let me just get a little bit of that. And that's how you can see it. And we training and everything else. I'm looking at that and I'm getting inspired by it. I'm watching the training videos. I'm watching RX Muscle, you know, Ask Dave, and I'm picking up tips and everything else. And we started doing the same thing. She's watching it with me, and we're both learning about the dynamics of what actually the sports. I remember the first time we were standing there trying to practice what poses, the 8 bandage poses. Oh man, it was very embarrassing. Put it that way.
That's changed a little bit now.
Yeah, but you know, it's like, you kind of laugh about it, but you kind of remember those periods. And I remember going back to my friend Chris Jones, and I said, we picked out a show that was local to me. It was a coach's star. I think it was Hercules Olympia.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah, it was a local show. It was literally just right there.
So that wicked backdrop as well, didn't it?
That little the Coliseum thing.
Yeah.
And then it was local, and I was like, hey, this is it. I'll sign up for that. So it was like, I think this was pretty much the beginning of 2014. And then the show was like, I think it was March or April 2014. And I was like, okay, I go about 4 months. Hell, this is it. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that show. I didn't know anything. I didn't know about dieting. I didn't even know bodybuilders had to diet. I just thought you got to get big and just jump on stage. So kind of looked at it, and you know, Mel told me that, so you know you're gonna have to train and diet and whatever. I'm like, I don't need to do that, man. I'm skinny naturally. I don't need none of that stuff. There's a difference between being skinny and being lean and being ripped. I didn't know the difference. I just thought, I got abs, man. What else? What else do you need? Like abs, you know?
What striations in your legs?
Exactly. What's all those stuff? I'm like, I don't think that's all right, you know. So I kind of like went back, because the only bodybuilder I knew at the time that even knew any tips about bodybuilding was Chris Jones. So I called him up, and I went to see him, and I said, hey, Chris, like, you know, you're a bodybuilder and everything. Can you tell me, can
Yeah.
Let me know what this is all about. Give me some information. And Chris kind of looked at me and everything else, and he had to look at me for the first time like that. He goes, "Man, dude, you got potential. You got potential, you know. But you know, you got to work at it and everything else." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So we took that away, and we literally Googled everything.
Yeah.
We YouTubed and Googled everything we could find. Everything. Yeah. We didn't have a coach, didn't have anything. We couldn't afford a coach or anything like that. So I just Googled everything. Like, we were like, backwards and forward, I'll be calling her saying, "Look, I just found this article. You just found," and we were like sort of sharing thoughts and everything. And it brought us closer because that was like our thing now. We got bodybuilding. We're gonna be doing this thing. And we sort of like started dieting and everything else. Well, say dieting. She said she was told I was dieting. I wasn't dieting. I was eating pizza for lunch every day. So I was at work, and I would whip out a pizza and put it in the oven. Come on, they'd be like, guys. I remember I had to bet one of the guys at work as well. He was like, "Oh, I bet you you're gonna suck at it."
Yeah.
And I was like, "I bet you if I win, I'm gonna win that show. I guarantee I'll win it." And we thought I had that bet, side bet anytime. And then he comes in his staff room. I'm eating pizza. He going, "What are you doing?" He goes, "You do know bodybuilders eat. What's this crap? You don't gonna." I'm like, "No, you don't know. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it." You know. So you kind of like just kind of get on with it like that, and the whole sort of thing just came about. We get closer and closer. The one thing that we knew was going to be a problem is I'm a quiet individual. I was always very reserved. I was never in that position before.
Yeah.
What are you going to be like standing on stage in your pants in front of thousands of people?
Yeah.
For me, I couldn't even fathom this. I mean, you talk about a guy that when we go to the beach, I don't even take my t-shirt off. When we go swimming, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not getting in the pool because I don't want that kind of attention." I was very reserved and very just. I want to be invisible. You know, when I'm in the gym, I don't talk. I put my headphones. I put my head down. I don't want to look at anybody. I don't want to be seen. Mm-hmm. So now you're obviously telling me to go do something that I've never done to stand out. Well, I spent my whole life trying to blend in. Yeah. Now you're trying to tell me to stand out, and we didn't know how that was going to work. We really didn't have a clue. There's no way you're going to practice standing in front of loads of people on stage.
You can't prepare for that moment.
There's no practicing about it. So for me, I mean, I was shaking when I think about it. I was literally having trembles, fear when I thought about it. I was training for it, but I was still fear that moment of it happening. Like, oh my God, am I really going to do this? And probably somewhere in the back of my mind, I thought I was going to bottle out at that last minute. I sort of have, last minute, if I don't, I just walk out. I just walk away and that's it. I don't have to do it. Yeah. So I was sort of expecting to bottle out at the last minute.
Yeah.
So went through, sort of didn't die because for some reason I just trained harder and I got leaner, but didn't really die of any sort. I just kind of put it that way. So I remember it was like in mid of Colchester, they had the sports hall booked in, and we came in day of the show, have families coming to watch and everything else, and I'm like, okay, this is the moment. I remember that date, that morning, the Generation Iron DVD came out for that day, and she had bought one, so I was in her place, and we put it on to watch. We had a show later that afternoon, and I watched Generation Iron the same day it came out, the first night I did my first show. And I remember watching that, and honestly, that DVD, people kind of like, I know people tell shit and they say, "Oh, it wasn't." That DVD made me found a whole new respect for bodybuilding. I genuinely looked at that, and it made me fall in love with it. And I watched it, and I was like, man, I want that. I really want that. That's awesome. That is one day I can just dream of, being a pro bodybuilder, walking around, traveling the world and doing that. This is imagine how good that must feel. So it was that idea, and this idea where in other sports you always feel like when you get to your late 20s, you're pretty much done. Mm-hmm. Football, basketball, you're done. You have to start on. So for me, I was already approaching that age. I was already 26, 28, 27. So for me, it's like, you're passing your time in that one. So bodybuilding is like, hell, you haven't even got started yet. It's I'm like, hell, this is like a fresh break. I can actually do this. Yeah. So for me, it was kind of like, okay, this is your go-to. So day of the show, got to the venue, and it was like, go backstage. We were first timers, so I'm registered in. First timers are going on first. Yep. I'm in the auditorium. Every guys are pumping up and getting changed. I'm sitting there, my fully clothed, and they were like, okay, first timers, you got 20 minutes. I'm like, okay.
Just chilling.
And they were like, she's like, you gonna get ready? What are you doing? I'm like, in a minute.
Oh,
in a minute.
no.
I'm sitting there, and we're standing there for literally 15 minutes, and she's like, you gotta strip off. You gotta strip off. And I don't want to take my clothes off.
Wow.
I'm like, I don't do this in public. I can't take my photo. And I'm there trying to say, okay, come on. You can do this. So I turn around. I remember we're in the autumn, and I face the wall, and I'm like, okay, block it all out. And I strip off facing the wall, and I kind of in there. And I remember the room behind me go silent. And I'm like,
as you stripped off.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh shit. And I look around and everybody's looking, and I'm like, fuck. Okay, this is
it good or bad?
This is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's extremely uncomfortable. At that point, I didn't even have time to sort of like get it sink in. They were like, okay, come on, you gotta go on stage. So they're oiling me up, like trying to get me on stage. So they cue us up right off the stage and everything else, and you can hear the crowd, you can hear everything else, and you're literally breaking it. You're literally in a spasm, like, oh my god, this is what am I doing? I want to go to the toilet, I want to go, everything, but just not to be there. So we kind of like called us up. We walked out on stage, and I remember this, for some reason, their first time they did a pose down when you walked on first.
Oh yeah,
which was really very weird because we were starting the show, so I suppose they just thought, okay, you go in there and just pose down, and then we'll then do the call outs or whatever.
With the first time,
yeah, for the first time. So for me, it was just, I mean, I didn't know anything about bodybuilding. I just thought it was normal at the time.
Yeah,
so
just wanted to get practice.
Yeah, so I was like,
first time in practice.
Yeah, exactly. So we walked on, and as soon as we got on stage, for some reason, the light switch just went off. Automatically, all that shyness, all that reservedness, all that sort of just keep to yourself, don't rock the boat, don't make any fuss, all that blows away. I just come out and I'm walking up on the stage, I'm giving it a let's go, and everything. I'm posing up and down, walking down the stage, acting like as if this I
like
own
you,
this
mate.
place. And I'm literally doing this, and they do the call out. I'm like, I'm stepping up. I'm like, come on, let's go.
Nice.
And everything else. I walk off stage, and everybody looking at me going, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have no idea. There was like, and she's going, I have never seen you act that way before. I've never seen. I was like, I'm like, I don't know. And it was literally that. Just when I was like, it just, for some reason, the only time I ever felt comfortable was standing on stage. And I'm like, that was fun. I was like, I want to do it again. So I did the first timers, and they came up for the result. Did it, and I won the first timers. So I'm like, yes, I got a trophy. I got a bodybuilding trophy. Like this, for me, that was the highlight of my day. I was like, yep, I'm ready. I'm good. Let's go home. I did what I was going to do. I won it. Yep. I'm taking pictures. I'm like, I'm proud of that moment. I'm like, this is the best thing ever. Best day of my life. And then the promoter came up to me and going, hey kid, like, you look really good. Like, if you want to stay to the end of the show, the big boys, the open class, are going to be coming on. You want to jump in with them? Yeah. And I was like, I've already got what I came for. At this point, I'm just pretty much just hanging around. I'm like, of course. I'm gonna, go on there, I'll give it a go. So we waited all through the day, and then got to the evening, and they bring out the big boys. And I remember being backstage with them, watching them pump up. Yeah. And I was like, holy shit. And I was like, okay, this is a different kettle of fish now. This is like crazy. And I'm looking at them going, bloody hell, this is insane. Like, okay, but just enjoy it. Don't just try to enjoy it. Don't think about it too much. So when I'm pumping up, I remember one of the judges came up to me, and he was like, man, you really got talent, you're really good, you can really go far in this. Yeah. And I'm looking, he goes, and he said to me, I think you're gonna win this class. And I'm looking around going, dude, are you high? Like, have you seen the kind of guys with muscles that are here? Are you crazy? And I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? So I remember, because this class, I don't know if you guys know Johnny Reeve.
Johnny Reeve? Yeah.
He was in that class.
Oh, was he?
He was there at that time, my first show. Right. So he was backstage with me, and we were chatting. So that was the first time I actually met him.
That's right. Have you heard this, that he competed with you? Because he's from down my way, obviously.
Yep. So. He was at that show. He was with the big boys at that show. He was my class. And I remember looking at him going, holy crap, what the hell? Wow. Like, damn, how can I even think of it? So we go on stage and obviously do the call outs, do all the comparison and everything else. And then came for the results. So they called now, okay, in third place, in second place. And then I remember Scott going, oh, this guy, he came in my gym 6 months ago. He didn't have any clue what he was doing, but I want to announce your winner. And I just lost my shit. I was like, are you kidding me?
That's madness, bro.
And I was like, are you kidding me? I walked away with 2 classes in one day with 2 big ass trophies. Yeah. And I'm like walking around going, you got this shy kid that really have no clue anything about this, just complete reserve and everything else. And you've now showed him that if he truly wants this, it's possible.
Yeah.
So when I came off stage, it just felt like, man, okay, I'm in love. I'm not going to do anything else. This is my sport now, you know.
Well, even more so for you, because you've been, like you say, reserving yourself for so long. Not showing your full potential, your full capability. It's not in your head showing off.
No.
But now you've got this sport where you can concentrate on number one.
Yep.
And just like give it your all.
And this is it. And I think this is what was sort of drew me to it. It was like, when you're literally designing the sport, is literally designed for you to show your best.
Yeah.
Show what you can do in regard of anybody. You don't have a team to sort of like cater to. You don't have a team effort, because you show your best. Your result is based off your effort and your effort alone.
Yeah.
So now it's like, this is the perfect dynamic for me. This is where I can shine. I don't have to feel bad that I'm sort of overstepping someone's shoes if I try too hard or anything. I can literally just go crazy and go nuts. You know. So for me, it was just like, I fell in love with it straight away after that. You know, the promoters came up to me. He was like, man, kid, you know what do you do? And I was like, oh yeah, I work as a porter, you know, I play rugby, blah blah blah. And he's like, man, kids, you know what, maybe you need to look into bodybuilding, because you might have a future in this sport. You need to take it seriously.
And
I'm like,
might have,
you know, and you know, he just said you might have, you know, and I kind of like, you know, you kind of smile and that's really nice, but don't really know where it went with. And I remember he said to me that they were doing a world championship, a WABA World Championship in Greece that time. He goes, look, I'll invite you to come over to do that as well. So kind of went from there, and then the following week they had Mr. Hampshire. The following weekend, I'm like, hell, I'm on a roll.
Jumping in.
I jumped in there, drove all the way to Hampshire in the morning, won that class as well, won the overall at Mr. Hampshire. And I'm like, dude, I'm at this point 2 weeks and I got 4 trophies, and I'm like, and I've never won a trophy before. So for me, this is like,
oh shit,
oh my god, like this is the best thing ever. I'm like, this is crazy, you know. And then, you know, in the summer we went to the World Championship in Greece. I came second in that show, and even then I'm like, you know, this is the big upside. This is like a new discovery. It's like I just discovered new talent I didn't know I have, and it was really exciting, you know. And then when we end up finished 2014. I kind of looked in 2015 going, okay, right, what is bodybuilding? What does it take to be a pro? What does it take to be an Olympia? Because I know that's the big one. How do you do it? How do you get pro guy? What do you know? And I started doing my research and understanding the federations and understanding what all these means and what goes on around it. And obviously then understand that for you to turn pro in the UK, you got to win the British Championships. I was like, oh, okay, so how do you get to the British? Oh, you got to do a qualifier and everything else. So sort of understood the dynamics and spoke to Chris, and they sort of filled me in on the gaps and things I didn't know. So I was like, okay, 2014, I'm 2015. That's going to be my goal. You know, my goal is going to be British Championships. I'm going to go in there and I want to do well in that. You know, went in. I think that this is when you can tell when things change, because I went from training rugby and working and doing this to all of a sudden rugby. Okay. I'm good with you, thanks, but I got to focus and see how I get on. And then I could see my physique start to change, like a bodybuilder.
Because you've devoted much more time to it.
And I could see that. So when it came in 2015, did Body Power, won that. Did the UK Southeast, won that. And then it came to the British Championship where I met this guy. You know, first year at the British Championships. Came third to him. I think Laurie was second, right?
Laurie came second,
Yep, came there to him. That was like, okay, wow, this is the word, isn't it? And I was like, shit, I'm coming back. I want to win this. I want to do that. 2016, had a year in, came back in there. 2016, where was I? I think it was third or fourth.
Yeah, because Luke
won that 2016.
And then Laurie came second. Again?
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, I think Laurie was second.
I come third. And then he was fourth.
I think I was fourth. So I was like, great. That was enjoyable. And then from there, I think we went to Amateur Olympia, Diamond Cup, Diamond Cup on Liverpool.
And then
you kept third there, and I was like, okay, you know. And then
when I got sixth or something, I was like, I'm gone.
Well, then you see the dynamics of this relationship and everything. People you meet started forming, and those sort of things started coming together. And I'm like, okay, this is bodybuilding, you know. And you know, following year, obviously, I mean, this time obviously still working full time. And the following year came back. Did the just the British that year. No, I did a show beforehand and qualified with British, and then did the British that year. That was the year that James won. He was sitting it out. Lorica was sitting it out.
Yep.
A few guys that were really, really biggest guys, they were sitting that year out. So it was just me and James that was pushing for that super heavyweight spot.
Yeah.
So James came second, and I came. James came first, and I came second to him. And James won the overall. And I was like, damn. And I already had planned that there was a show, Diamond Cup in Rome, the week after the British. And I've always had in the back of my mind, like, look, if I don't win this, I'm just going to run over there and go get that instead.
Yeah.
So when James came second, I was like, when James won that show, I was like, hell, go on the plane. I remember it was like connecting flight to Rome through Romania. It was a long ass flight. I was like, yep, got there the next weekend. And then did the Diamond Cup. It was an amateur Olympia, and then won my pro card there.
Sick.
And you know, you always kind of fall in this dynamic where you think, you know, this is the moment, won my pro card. Everything awesome. Yes, I've done it now.
Yeah.
And you know what? The reality that hits you. You know,
you're straight back at the bottom of the fire.
A lot of work to do again.
There you go. You know, you don't think, oh yeah, you were good as an amateur, you were winning and you were placing high. You just walked in and you kind of having this. Then it's like, yeah. And then when you go to the pro, you're like, yeah, that's
here we go again.
Calm down now. That all stops right there. Yeah. Welcome to the big boys. You know.
I think that was really the start of the international competing as well. 2017.
Yeah.
Because before then,
we never did anything.
Did it in the UK.
In the UK, that was it.
You might have gone to the Arnold's, which was like a European show.
Yeah, but that was it.
Yeah, that was it, wasn't it?
Because most of us, we didn't travel outside of UK to compete. It was all the British. The British was right there, you know. So I think 2017 was the first year where now we're like, okay, we can get our pro cards other ways. We can spread out now, you know. So it sort of made that whole year sort of start off like, I mean, that whole year kind of picked things and changed a lot of things. Obviously, that was the year that UKBFF also moved out.
Yep.
Two Bros came in. The whole dynamic of sports then changed and everything else like that. So
because I think I came across yourself then a year later, after Two Bros came in, about a year later when we the old Team Armada.
Yep, that's the one.
In London in Graftism, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that's where we
kind of did our first thing there.
So that must have been like 2019.
Yeah,
maybe.
that was 2019 when we did our first one there after the British, I believe, championships in 2019.
Was it?
Yeah. But you know when you go to the pros and you're kind of competing with the pros, it's a different ball game.
Yeah.
It's a different ball game. You know, it humbles you very quickly. It makes you feel like anything you've sort of think how good you are or whatever. Because I remember doing my first pro show, which was Prague, and I remember that pro show, I was kind of prepping for it and everything else. I'm thinking, man, you're going up against Nathan, Rowley, Lucas, James. There was a lot of Nathan.
The year I was over there.
Yeah, Nathan was at that show. You know, it was a big lineup. And then you kind of like, these are guys you've read about, you've seen on movies, on YouTube, you've seen in magazine. You kind of now standing on stage with them.
Guys you've looked up to, innit?
Exactly. So you're like, holy crap! You're like, you still see the gap.
Yeah.
And you see that, and you go, man, okay, this is a whole different ball game. So get on stage. I think that I came fifth at the Prague show. My first pro show, I was like fifth at a big lineup. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is it. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. And then I think it was like 3 weeks later, there was it's George Farrell in Italy, and there was no big names at that show. I'm like, there we go. Yeah. I'm winning that. That's it. Straight trip to Olympia happening. I'm feeling confident. I'm like,
first class ticket.
Yep, straight up, man. First pro show, win it, go to Olympia, done.
Yeah.
Went to that show, and I remember 25 guys signed over that show.
Wow. No.
Like, it was one of the most busiest lineup I've ever seen. You had Max Charles come over, like all the European bodybuilders were all in that show. So I kind of like, okay, all right, don't worry, no big deal. I'm sure I can have this. I'm gonna did the call outs, second call out for the first time. Bro, that was a blow. I remember when I was, because the thing is, when you're an amateur and you kind of spending money to travel here, it's not as hard as when you start spending money to go travel abroad. And when you're working full time and you're using your job to pay for your hobby as bodybuilding, you feel it. And then when you have to travel abroad, you pay for hotel, you pay for the prep for food, pay for everything else. It costs a lot.
It's expensive.
It's extremely expensive.
I never understand when I see the amateur guys on the circuit now doing all these trips abroad doing all these shows. I never understand how they fund it.
How you funding it?
The only thing I would say is now a lot of these amateur guys that are travelling are coaches.
Yeah.
And I know the coaching income.
The passive income.
When we was doing it as amateurs, we're doing normal jobs. We're doing like jobs where you're probably getting paid between 2,000 and 3,000 a month.
So based on
that's
that,
a whole month's paycheck on one
show.
So based on that, would you say it's
it was harder then to do the international circuit than it is now financially.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I think there was a smaller pool of athletes with the disposable income of today's athletes.
Yeah.
Because the game's changed a bit, hasn't it?
The industry's
the online coaching has boomed, and that's a serious income for someone with no real skill towards a trade.
True.
I mean, they're taking home more than nurses, police officers.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Even some of them are taking more money than doctors and politicians and shit. So
so you can imagine it ain't bad at all. So you can still have more amateurs that travel openly now. Wherever, there's a show in China, of course I'll get on a plane, let's go. There's a show over here, I'll get on a plane. That then is like, man, when you think about how much is the flight, how much is registration, how much is the hotel, how much is the food, by then that's your whole wage gone. It's
I think maybe because it wasn't as accessible, maybe the chances of getting there and doing well were higher. Because it's more accessible now.
Than it was.
People go on about, there's so many pro cards, it's easy to get it, but no, there's more competitors
now.
The standard is higher. So it's balanced it out.
But I guess I get what you mean.
So what I was going to say is, when did you find out the passion that you had for posing?
Oh man, I think that one started off as an amateur. I think when we sort of like, because for me, when I did my first show and my second show, my third show, and even when I was preparing for my first show, I remember, you have the routine bits and stuff like that. And I kind of like sat down and I was like, okay, what is bodybuilding and everything else? And I go on YouTube and I watch Kai Green and I watch the Fields and I watch the Flex and the Sean and I watch all those guys. And for me, when you first get into bodybuilding, you cannot go a minute without watching it. It's almost like you're obsessed with it. You watch everything. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of time I watched the 2013, 2014 Olympia or 2013 Arnold, 2014 Arnold. I've watched them over and over and over. Every cardio session, I'm watching bodybuilding. In between breaks, I'm watching bodybuilding. Every minute, I'm watching bodybuilding. I'm literally watching over and over. And I'm seeing them guys move, and I'm seeing the guys that I've now come to like the Flex and the Sean, and I'm seeing the way they move and the Labrada. I'm seeing them. I'm thinking, man, I love that. That idea is the confidence that Flex will walk up on stage and he's like the man, and he comes in and he's doing splits, and I'm like, holy crap! I didn't even know
swagger.
That swagger. I'm like, damn. Phil walking that I'm the man on stage, and you look at it and you're going, holy crap! It was so mind blowing. Kai will just swoop in and do flip on his head, and be like, what? How can someone that big even move like that?
Could you dance when you were younger?
Not as much as most people think. As much as most people think. I was good at dancing. I was good at picking up rhythm. That's one thing. I was good at picking up rhythm, and that's what so helped me out. Because bodybuilding, I pick up the rhythm from music, and I add. But you already got the poses preordained.
Yes.
So for you to bring those two together, that's how you sort of pick up flow in terms of, okay, what are you trying to deliver? You pick a music that sort of gives you that message, and then now you're like, okay, now you move. Use your rhythm, move to that beat, hit poses.
That's what I was trying to work out in my head, because obviously you were an introvert as a kid, so that doesn't essentially mean you're going to be dancing, not be spinning on your head like me back in the day. But then obviously on stage it's a different kettle of fish.
But, and that's what I mean. Like for me, it was just kind of that, and sort of like kind of looking at them and say, okay, right, and then learning. I mean, I rehearse so much. Like I spend so much time. I'll watch a video, I'll watch a post and go, I like what he did there. And I'll stand up and I'll do it like 500 times over and over and over. And then I'll watch again, and I'll watch on the next one, and I'll do it over and over. Because it just felt like you found a passion. That's something that you're not doing it just to get by. You're not doing it, it's something to do, it makes money or whatever. You found something that is just purely a passion.
You just love it.
That you just love it. So when you then have that, it's easy to just want to have it consume your life. I remember it's just everybody, everywhere I went, even my friends at the time, all I did was talk to them about bodybuilding. Look at this guy, and they were getting really fed up with it.
Do they bodybuild?
No, they weren't even into it.
No interest whatsoever.
They were looking at it. They were getting fed up with it. They were just like, whatever.
We need to get a new friend.
This one. Just keep talking about men in pants. This is not cool. Whatever, So I think that's sort of like that moment there was where I sort of picked up the idea of okay, what posing is. And I think maybe it was because where I see them guys, how confident they were on stage, how they controlled the stage, how they felt. It made me want to have that. It made me want to I just love that. I wish I could be that. So it kind of gave me a chance to try to practice to become like that. So that's where all that sort of came into play, where I thought, okay, you know what, if you're on stage, that's how you have to be. You have to carry the stage. You have to be that persona on stage, because this is what you've seen. This is what you know that you want to be. So I think kind of rehearse that over and over.
Sorry, man, I'm dying for a wee.
God.
I've got to. Why he's changing that camera? I've got to take the opportunity. Yeah. So before I went for a wee, that was where you was like obviously studying hard, posing, bodybuilding. Your friends are getting sick of you.
Yep.
But I think you always sound like you had some like a lot of tension built up from your youth. From not being able to express yourself
for so long, yeah.
And the bodybuilding is just like it just seems like the floodgates are opened.
It was literally, it did feel like that. And you know, like if anybody who knew me then saw me now, they so blown away. It's like you're just different, and not even physically, but just like you're so different to where you were. Like the idea of even speaking was something. Even I remember when I was going to Chris's gym when I first went to now, guys that work behind the reception desk, like the old school guys, that always been there.
Yeah,
they was like, man. When you first used to come here, you never spoke. We never got anything out. We always say, man, he's so quiet, isn't he? And he goes, now he's like, the change has been drastic, it's been real. And I think, you know, bodybuilding is all about self-analysis, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You were like, we constantly critique and check and pick ourselves apart.
Yeah.
You know, and where that's all normally physical, for me, I started using that to start doing it mentally as well.
Yeah.
And speaking with my partner, and I mean, to be fair, I got to put big props on her because she works as a social worker.
Yeah.
She deals with people that have been through a lot of trauma in their life.
Yeah.
So she started asking me the questions that I needed to hear to answer for myself to sort of get into my mentality and why I have these things. And I sort of started taking that time and going back in there and going, okay, most times when I was growing up is when people talk about their parents, they always have like a really close relationship with one of their parents.
Yeah.
I don't have that with any of mine. You know, as you grow up, you then develop this ability of being neither into yourself or trying to be very over the top, over dramatic and trying to really push that. And for me, it just kind of caused this thing where I didn't have that kind of connection. I didn't have somebody to talk to and sort of discuss those things growing up, those hard times and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't have nobody I could actually speak and say, yo, I'm really struggling, like, can I like just call, I just want to chat and everything else, and have someone that could do that, because I never had that connection with parents. I mean, dad was always in Nigeria, mom's was in the States. So here there was never, and right from when I was even young, I've already been to boarding house, so I've already learned to be self-reliant without having to come to them. So, but then where the drawback then happens is things that your parents were supposed to teach you how to deal with as a man now start reflecting. You never had that, so you now have outbursts. You now have rage, you now have anger, you now have this idea of not knowing how to say, look, leave me the hell alone and everything. You have, instead of sort of just saying to someone, look, I'm not interested, no, don't. You now can't say that, but instead you wait till it builds up to the point where it's like a keg and then you blow up. And they're like, ooh, where did that come from? Where did you go from this, that? They don't know that because of that way of you subdue things for so long and you now do that daily. So it took a lot of time sort of now picking myself apart and saying, okay, right, why am I like that? Why don't I have, why do I feel uncomfortable when I'm around a authoritative figure? Why do I feel uncomfortable to express myself? Why do I feel like I can't do this or I can't do that? And then I started going back and started looking at my upbringing and started analyzing myself, going, okay, the school you went to, the adult figures you have, everything, all those things, they've sort of molded you where you are now that person where you just didn't want to, you wanted to just disappear, you didn't want to stand out, you know. Now you're now in a sport where you have to analyze yourself, you have to stand out. How can you do it better? How can you really come out, you know? So it took some time and it took a lot of digging to start saying, okay, you do have you have some messed up problems that you need to deal with.
When did this when you started doing the digging, kind of what time period was that when?
So it started, I mean, for me it's literally, I think it was 2017, end of 2017, like even not the whole 2017. I had a really bad year.
Right.
I had like a significantly bad year. That point, you know, my life literally fell apart. I lost my job, I lost family, friends, a lot of people. Things just went off the plan, and at that point it got to the point where I really felt what it was like to have depression, to be depressed, to be that thing, to be that point, you know. It was a really bad year, you know, and at that point I just couldn't do this. I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to handle any of this, you know. It really broke me down, and it took a lot at that point for me to sort of like, you know, having a whole year where you felt like that. I didn't even understand it because, like, man, we don't talk about it. We don't discuss it.
It wasn't even 2017. I don't think like the mental health thing that we talk about every day now wasn't even there, was it?
You know, and
that was after 2018. When
that's when
after I joined Jordan, and I think that body power 18, 19 was where all the mental health stuff was like kicking off.
Yeah, right.
You know. Yeah. So 2017.
So how do you deal with it anyway if you don't talk about it?
You try and deal with it and you're talking about it. And I didn't understand at the time, especially doing bodybuilding and the substance we use, they elevate that to a whole
creatine
level. Yeah. You know, so now you don't know why. Why am I raging all the time? Why do I feel I'm neither up here or I'm down here or I'm through the wall? I'm never okay with anything. I'm always fighting with myself or anybody. I'm always kind of lashing out and sort of doing that. And it was just a really hard year. And, you know, obviously Mel she had a lot of patience with me at the time because I couldn't be around. I was just so bad I couldn't be around. I was always very low mood, very, very negative about everything, and sort of in that sort of ruck with it, and I couldn't get out. And she sort of started asking me to make me really dig into what's happening, why it's all coming out now. And I think where, you know, it's been a long year where I've sort of kept quiet. I've been this guy that gone along the road, and I found bodybuilding, and it's like the world explodes, and I can let myself out. And now all that, you know, very short time, you now start, it just ends up out of control. You don't know, you start questioning who you are and where you are and who you are as a person, what you're doing with yourself, and everything that you know starts coming into question, you know. I mean, at that point, you know, it was a lot of questions that I really didn't need to ask myself. I didn't need to say, look, okay, I'm not good at this. Why? I don't do well at this. I'm bad at expressing myself. I'm bad at talking. I'm bad at this. Why is all this? Why am I doing this? And what's the problem in it?
A lot of like self-improvement kind of thing.
Had to happen at that time because I was at the lowest low, and I was doing a job where constantly I kept on getting in trouble with work, and constantly it was like one disciplinary hearing after another, and every time I would sit there and just be like, okay, I'll do better.
Yeah.
Okay. I felt like I was always the person that was at fault. I was always wrong.
What was you doing at this point?
Yeah. Then I was working. Then I was literally about to leave the hospital and start a job in a solar farm.
Got you. Because that's what I know you as. It's working solo. With the power tools.
That's all. I think at that point that was where left the hospital and started working in a solar farm and stuff like that. And then I loved that job because I was solo.
Yeah.
You know, I was in the middle of the field working on solar panels and stuff. Literally you and yourself all day. You know, so it was like I put my headphones on, I started listening to audiobook, and I just, you know, just work, and that was my job, and that sort of like suited me quite fine, you know. And for me, it was great. It was like, yeah, cool and everything else. And also it was a freaking grueling job. You're out there in all weathers, you know.
Yeah.
Be it whether it's the coldest December or it's the hottest July. You're in the middle of a field with no shelter, no trees, no nothing out in it. You know, if it's pissing down rain, where you gonna go? Or hide underneath a solar panel for how long, you know? So you kind of got the hardest. And then at the end of that, you finish that, you go home, absolutely knackered after a freaking 7 to 8 hour shift, you know, have a shower, all right, gotta go to the gym now. Head off to the gym next morning, 6 a.m. you start up doing it again. And it felt like, you know, you're doing that. And when you sort of like, the thing is, when I was seeing you guys, I was pissed off with myself. But I was like, they obviously don't have to do this. Why am I still? What am I doing wrong? Why am I not coming up to me? Why don't I have ideas? Why don't I have this drive to do what they do and have that freedom to do? Why is it? And you know, when you start having that, you start picking yourself apart. You end up frustrated, and you end up angry and angry at the world and bitter sour. And everything. And he ends up sort of picking yourself apart, and you end up thinking. And you know, I remember at the time, you know, they were saying like you couldn't be a top pro and do bodybuilding and work in construction at the same time. It's just never gonna happen. And that got to me because I was like, well, does that mean that I'm wasting my time then? Does that mean that this is not gonna happen for me because I can't seem to get everything, all my ducks in a row? I can't seem to get it together. So he sort of made me start rebelling in the wrong way at the wrong people. Instead of rebelling at people that I should have done, I started rebelling to the wrong people about it, and I started letting the people closer to me, let them get that whole frustration and that part of me out on them. And it wasn't cool, man. It just wasn't on. And most of them just like, no, we ain't doing this with you anymore.
Yeah.
And they left, and and they're going, no, sod you down, I don't give a damn, and carrying on like that. And that year, it was definitely one of the year where, towards the end of it, I was like, okay, you know what, I need help.
I think with the job that you're doing as well, solo, we spoke off camera just before we started filming. Obviously, I spend a lot of time on my own on the roads. That thinking time as well, that can build that pressure inside so much. You will burst.
Because something that's probably a small, tiny problem, something that you probably get solved away in a small conversation, like, hey, I don't like this, okay, alright, cool, no problem, we'll find something else. You let it dwell because you're thinking about it all day, and it's there, and that small thing becomes this, because you've exploded it in your mind, and when you then come out to speak to someone about it, you explode, and you'll be like, wait, hold on, you didn't even tell me about it. And that is something that is, it gets to you, and you start to, that happens all the time.
Like you say as well, as bodybuilders, we're always analysing everything. And then you have the other thing nowadays, social media, where you're analysing other people, competitors and things, reading into comments. Someone said something about me, what do they mean? Taking things the wrong way, maybe, or maybe taking it the right way. It's a constant, isn't it?
It's a constant, and it is constant, and it starts mentally, it affects you, man. Mentally, it starts to get to you. Mentally, especially, remember those periods, we didn't know how to handle social media. You hadn't been exposed to it. It hasn't been around long enough for you to know that, to handle that negativity, or handle even the positive factor. You didn't know how to do it. It was a new thing. It was really like, now bodybuilders having Instagram and having this and post, it was very new to us. So we didn't have enough time and our experience to realize, don't take it personally, don't just leave it off, don't spend so much time on it, we didn't know that time. Everything was very personal, very someone said something, it was a personal attack. When someone, regardless of even when it was constructive, it was a personal attack. You lashing out, and it sort of puts you, and it all adds on to this whole thing that you created in your head, and this whole problem that you feel like, oh, the world has a problem, and I'm just stuck in it, and everything feels bitter about it. So it's
so that year 17 was a difficult year, but you topped off by getting your pro card.
And that was literally was towards the end of it. I remember being prepping that year. It was definitely difficult, but when we then lost the British, that was like a and I remember being so frustrated and so angry at that time, and just so painful that I was like, if I don't win it that following year, man, so this, I'm going to just run to thing and just get it. I gotta have it now. I want it now. I'm tired of waiting. It's been too long. Taking the fact I wanted bodybuilding for 3 years. And I'm already like, oh, it's been too long. I'm supposed to I'm supposed to have it now. Can
I just touch on that as well?
2017.
When you were talking about the dates,
I'm
in my head, I'm thinking, when did I start training? And I'm like, it's fucking been training a year longer than me, and I'm like,
I was going to say, the thing is with Samson is different to 99% of the bodybuilders that I know, like forever, is the fact that you started in 2013. But you've progressed every year. And you're still progressing.
Yeah, that's lucky, man.
But the rate of progression is it's increasing.
Mate, you've gone into like 8th gear. Not 6th, it's gone into 8th.
Which just doesn't make sense.
It really does. I mean, honestly, even with us now, we look at it and I'm like, and they said, what are you doing? I'm like, we haven't done anything drastically different than what we've been doing. But for some reason, I think what happened is lifestyle changes. Lifestyle change, because every single time I've had a lifestyle change, I've jumped up a notch.
Can I be a bit hippie with it? You always say where your mind goes, your body follows. And I think, with the confidence that you've obviously had from everything you've done in the last 2 years, that has to play a part with the progression.
Massively.
With the physique. Must do.
Huge involvement in, like you say, lifestyle change, reducing stress. A reduced stress mindset is going to
it's going to progress the best results, isn't it? So it's always those little things that we don't really think about. We just think, it's just not happening. My training, everything's not going well. Whatever. It must be that. It must be that. Sometimes it's just the idea of you're less stressed about it. You just the more relaxed you are, it puts your body in that point where your body's like, okay, I want to grow. I want to improve. I want to do that. You know? So lifestyle change has definitely been a big one for me.
Obviously, a massive turning point for the lifestyle change was when obviously you became like a full-time athlete. And you were able to leave the job, innit?
I was going to say, talking about stress, because that was in the same year, I think. Let's talk about 2020.
Do we have to?
Oh my God.
Because wasn't Fuad's Did he come in 2020?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about what you said earlier about everything happens for a reason. It always makes sense.
Yeah.
So tell us about 2020.
Man, it was. This is where you think, like, you know, like I said, like when you're pro and you spend a lot of money traveling and everything else, it costs a lot. When you do go to a show and you don't do well, you don't make money back. It's almost like, man, that's draining.
What was the first show you was going to do in 2020?
So it was Arnold. It was Arnold South America.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was in April.
And the British was supposed to be in May.
British was supposed to be in May at the time. So I'm like, oh, great. This would be a nice lineup.
Perfect.
And I think New York was somehow in between or afterwards.
That's normally May as well.
Yeah. So I felt like, okay, multiple shows. I'm going to do multiple shows. Got to do well. If I don't win one, I'm going to get enough points to make it to Olympia.
Yeah.
This is a great plan. Let's go with it. So I started 2020 prepping early, you know, got the Arnold invite. I'm like, this is already starting to be the best year ever. I finally got my first official Arnold invite for that Arnold South America. I'm like, shit, let's go. So I'm going hard at it. Yeah, let's do it. Then
see,
we know what happened.
You know what happened? What came along? You know, Corona hits, everything shut down.
Yeah. And
at the time, I'm sitting there thinking, well, you know, this seems like a small thing. You probably, you know, 2 weeks. They can't keep us up. 2 weeks, and we'll be back at it. So just stay on prep and focus. Remember this year you said you're going to give it your all.
Yeah.
Focus on that. Just do that. You know, and you know most of the time I was still working as well because my job didn't stop.
Yeah.
You know? So focus. This is your moment. It's your try-in period. Yeah. Let's see how badly you want it. I'm like, I'm ready to go. Yeah. So carried on prepping because I thought this is not going to last too long. Came in, okay, Arnold's cancelled. Okay, next show, probably British Championship. You were like 4 weeks out. Oh, that's cancelled.
Yeah.
All right, New York, that's 6 weeks. That's cancelled. Okay, I'm still prepping. You know, going on. Okay, what's the next one? I think it was Chicago, Cali. All of them just kept on coming up, and it almost felt like the whole time it was like, okay, I'm 4 weeks out. I'm 2 weeks out. No, I'm 10 weeks out. Oh no, I'm 4. Oh, no, I'm 10 weeks out. And it just felt like the whole year. And I'm like, okay. Was every time it almost felt like it just felt like at that point it just felt like a normality when you get to and be like, I'm 2 weeks out, and then the show gets canceled. Like, okay, back to the calendar then. Okay, what's next? It's like, and it felt like that for the whole summer and everything else. And I was traveling an hour to go to Chris's gym to train because he was the only one allowing pros to actually come and train. So I was like, back when I'll finish my job and I'll drive an hour to his gym, train, and then drive an hour back the other way back home again. So I was like, okay, you know, keeping it up and everything else. And then, you know what? To be fair, it showed me what dedication means, because then I was like, no matter what, I'm not gonna back down. I'm gonna do this. I don't care. This is not gonna hurt me. I'm gonna get it done. So I started doing that. And then it got to August.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Tampa, everything's starting to open up slowly. Tampa is happening. Okay, all right. Tampa. I'm like, okay, USA, I just need to get, because I remember chatting to you about it. Remember I spoke about what we have to do to fly to USA as athletes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you just couldn't. It was like at the time there was no way to do it.
Yeah,
there was like forms and stuff that we could potentially get.
Yep.
But
so filled out all the forms. Called. I remember, like, oh man, how many times I called the US and British Embassy, saying, look, this is a situation. Can you help me out? What do I need to do? And one person didn't tell me this. The other person told me that. Oh, fill out this form. So I was just doing it all. I was like knocking it all out eventually. And eventually I kind of called, I think we finally got somewhere with this. Oh, if you got your ESTA, we can approve you to fly. Don't worry about it. Yeah, if you have that. Everything was good to go. And I remember calling the British Airways even the day before saying, okay, I'm coming down to fly tomorrow. I've got this, I've got that, I've got this, I've got that. Is it okay? Yeah. Lady said, yeah, of course. Okay, that's fine. I'm like, all right. So it looks like, so booked everything up, got down to Heathrow Airport, got there. I was like, look, all my letters, all my emails, everything, boy it all out there. Say, okay. And then lady was like, she was actually saying like, okay, no problem. Just head to the check-ins thing there and you'll be good to go. I'm like, all right. So I'm like, okay. Get to the gate, and she's looking at her, and she's like, oh, I'm just 1 minute. So she calls the guy from Homeland Security from the USA. He comes in, and he looks over, and he was like, we can't let you fly. Wow. And I was like, but they just said, what's this all about? Yeah. He's like, they didn't ever let us know. Homeland Security never let us know. They didn't let us know you were coming, so we can't let you fly. I'm like, but I was like, okay, call now. He goes, oh, it's middle of the night. Nobody's going to be there. I'm like, my flight was in 30 minutes.
No.
And I'm like, And you know when you're literally on your knee, you're begging. You're like, dude, seriously, I'm not going there for a holiday. I'm not going there. I'm flying out. It was a Thursday. The show was on Saturday, and I'll be back on Sunday. Look, I'm literally going there for a weekend. I'm only going to be at the hotel. We're going to do the show and come back. Look, there's all the letters. He was like, sorry, man, I can't help you.
No way.
And you know when you're just thinking, dude, and the thing is, he was taking pleasure out of it.
Yeah.
And he just kind of been like, damn, okay, all right.
I think you do land yourself in them situations sometimes as bodybuilders where you obviously have a physical dominance over another male.
Yep. And
it's like, well, I've got the power here.
Yep.
Big guy like that.
Yeah.
I remember the last time look, literally I was in tears, and I was like, I can't believe especially after the whole years, and I'm like, I'm this close, and you're gonna do this. And I was literally in tears and everything else. And I was like, okay, you know what? Mel was like, let's just go home. Let's just go. And he was like, oh, can I get a picture?
No way.
I shit you not.
Oh my God.
And you know when you just looked, I looked at this guy and I took a picture with him. I was just thinking, you know what, man?
We're just too nice sometimes.
Okay. You know. So you just thinking, man. So I remember we came back and I was so ticked off and I was like, look, it was a bank holiday weekend, I think, as well. I was like, look, let's go to the Peak District, have some time with family, just forget all this. Let's just go do something. So we drove to the Peak District. We were having the time and, you know, just enjoying the outdoors and everything else. And at one point, I was like, finally calmed down, relaxed. Actually, where is the next show on the list? And I looked up, and there was a show in South Korea. And I was like, okay, looked at the website. British people are allowed to fly to South Korea.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And that's in 2 weeks' time. No, it was in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah.
All right. This is looking good. Let's just find out more information. Called the promoters over there, spoke to them about it, and they was like, yeah, that's fine, but you're aware you're gonna have to quarantine when you come here for 2 weeks before we let you in. So I'm like, quarantine, you know. I was like, where is it? Where's the place? Oh, there's a hotel. They set up a hotel for guests that are coming in to quarantine in there.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Sounds good. Hotel has gyms. I have food. This is a piece of cake. 2 weeks. Yeah, I'm in shape. Yeah, no big deal. So I'm like, yeah, okay. Let me know. Let me check. So at this point, I'm getting excited. I'm like, yeah, okay. I got a show. I'm gonna do this one. And then the guy was like, then we called the Korean embassy, and we were like, yeah, we're coming. Blah, blah. Yeah. And it was like, oh, you're quarantined and everything else. And I was like, yeah. I was like, what's the hotel, whatever. And the guy, when he broke that wall down very quickly. He was
really?
He was like, no, the quarantine, you're not allowed to leave your room.
Oh shit.
And I'm like, what, in the hotel? I can't even go out for. No. He goes, can I get delivery? No. You're in your room 3 meals a day. You can't leave for the 14 days. You can't even go outside for fresh air. You're in that room. And automatically I'm like, yeah, okay. So that's off the plan then.
Yeah.
Forget it. Carried on our whole breakaway in the Peak District. Started enjoying time. And the whole time I was there, it just kept on going on in my head over and over. But what if?
Yeah.
What if? I'm sure I can make this work. What if? And after we go back to the hotel, I was like, I think I can do this.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, how is it possible? You can't eat. You can't you're training. And I was like, well, how much do I need to train really? We got 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, I fly in next week. How much training do I need to do really? I don't need to train legs. We're already too close. I just need to maintain upper body, train shoulders, back, whatever. I'm like,
yeah,
I can do training. I can make it work, man. Shit, I can do that in a hotel room. I can find my way. You know, get some bands, get some stuff. I can do that. Okay, what about food? Well, let's pack as much rice and stuff we can get. I'm sure we can get a microwave or something, and we'll make it work with that. I'm sure I can sort of put it together. And we kind of started, okay. So we called the promoters over there, and at this point we already called them, said we're not doing it. Called them back up, say, yeah, I want to do it. Yeah, I think I can do it. And they were just blown away. They were like, really? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, look. Then I told them, say, look, would you guys be allowed to give me some meals, get some meals to me when I'm there? And they was like, well, we're going to try work something out with the hotel so they can get you some meals in. So you actually just have you taking over.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, great. This is
game on.
This might be a game on. This might be a go. So I remember saying, okay. I remember even saying then, and he was saying, look, if you're going to come, you can't wait to the 2 weeks. You have to leave now.
Yeah. Because
you have 14 days plus extra when you're out. Yeah. And I was like, oh shit. And he goes, yeah. And I was like, because I was going to fly out the end of the week. He was like, you need to fly. This was like a Sunday. He goes, no, you need to fly early. You got to be here on Tuesday.
Shit, yeah.
So we were in Peak District. I'm like, okay, shit. So we finish and we drive home, and I'm like, okay, how can we make this work? All right, got my bags. I was like, clothes, ain't gonna need clothes. You're gonna be in a hotel for the whole time. You gotta do a show and go home. I'm like, okay, don't really need to pack much of those. Pack as many frozen food as you can. So we have all the meats and stuff. We had it frozen all up. Like, okay, packing the meats, packing everything I could possibly throw in. I know I'm gonna be able to keep me thinking about. Did all that, pick the bands, everything else. I was like, okay. Once again, driving to Heathrow Airport, that fear of being turned away, it was just there. And even me and my were like, shit. And first we thought we were gonna do it together. Yeah. And after we found out, like, no, it's gonna have to be just be you. Like, okay. So we go there, and I get to the airport, and same thing. Oh, let me check your paperwork. And we were standing the whole time thinking, would it happen? Would it let us go with that? And eventually he was like, yeah, okay, you're safe to fly. No way. And we looked at each other and going, oh shit, this is now, it's no longer a plan. Now it's actually going to happen. So we're like, okay.
Pinch yourself.
I'm going to South Korea for 2 weeks. For my head, I'm still thinking, I'm going to South Korea for 2 weeks. All right, here we go. Say goodbye, go on a plane, fly off, get there, and the minute you land, it's almost like, man, it's like interrogation station. It looks like you just broke into the country, man. They're like, they're pulling you here, asking you, what are you doing here? What's your purpose of visit? Why, like interrogation. I remember having 4 interviews before I even left the airport. It was just on. Towards the end, I was just tired. I was just like, Lord, just send me back. If you don't, look, I already told you all the reasons I'm here. Who's your contact? Who's your number? The promoters, they already gave me their numbers. So I was like, who's your numbers? Where are you going to be staying? I'm like, they're like, do you know you're going to quarantine? Do you know you're going to go in? I'm like, I've already told you like 500 times. Yes, I know. So eventually they put you on a bus, and this bus is only with people that obviously know. They drive you guys to the quarantine center. And the guys with hazmat suit comes out of the hotel. They don't even bring you through the front entrance. They take you through around the back.
No way.
And they bring you to the hotel. They give you a towel, a soap. Look, it felt like you were going to prison. They give you a towel, a bar of soap, and they're like, your room is over there. You walk upstairs, you go in the room, boom, you shut the door. Here we go.
Don't it seem, just obviously start you for 1 minute, mini second, but don't it seem so crazy?
It's insane.
Looking back.
It's insane. This was 2020. It's insane.
Yeah.
And you kind of like stand there, and you're there, and you're like, you look, you go, okay, right, let's really get this in. Let's get this in. So I'm setting up all my stuff and going, okay, I'm gonna make this happen, whatever it takes. I'm gonna do this. So I'm putting all my food in and everything else. Start doing it. Woke up the next morning, start training in the hotel, doing everything, doing push-ups, just running on the spot just to do cardio so I can get out of running, doing everything I can just to say, okay, stay in shape enough and everything else. And I remember like every day they come in to check your temperature. Think about it, they do a test on you before you go into the quarantine, and the result comes out 3 days later that you're negative, but they leave you in there anyway. So, and the funny thing, they'll actually come to give you the results on your door and say, here you go, you're negative, good,
but you're still fucked.
You're still fucked.
Oh man,
like, so you're just
criminal.
Oh my god. You're like, okay, thanks. No, that's irrelevant now.
It's literally dangling a carrot.
And then every day it's like the timer goes up, ding dong, and then somebody comes in your door and you open it and they stick this little lady comes out with hazmat suit with a thermometer in there, scans your temperature and go, yep, and then so he's like, it's just crazy. And the meals they're giving you, they're not even bodybuilding meals, not even close. So you're looking at it going, yep, can't eat any of that, throw it away. And then you have the fridge you have is those little hotel refrigerator, don't keep anything cold. So I got it stuffed in there with all my food I could possibly have, like as much as I can. Eating out of that, and I'm thinking, okay, 1 week I was good. By the second week they start going off. I'm like, okay, well, that's no longer edible. That's done. And then the promoters, hopefully, I was thinking they were going to give me food for the following week to help me out. The hotel basically said no. They basically their idea was this: if he eats anything, he falls sick, he's under our responsibility. We can't let it happen, so we can't give him anything externally. So we're like, they were like, okay, so what can you give him? So they brought a carton. They gave me supplements. So I got my whey protein and I was like, okay, well, I can drink those ones at least. And then they allowed them to bring in cartons of liquid egg whites.
Right.
So at this point, I'm like, okay, they normally bring the meals. They have rice in the meals. I got liquid egg whites. hell, I guess I'm egg whiting and ricing this thing on the way to the end. I'm like, so that's what became my diet. I was like, okay, egg white and rice.
Could you cook the egg whites up?
Yeah, because I had at the point I took a little plug-in cooker.
Yeah, okay.
I took one of them in my baggage with me. I'm like, I'm gonna need that.
Oh, sweet.
So we got one pan.
I just imagined you plugging away some egg whites and rice.
Egg whites and rice.
So it was definitely eventful, man. You know, got the PlayStation there, playing PlayStation all day, like talking to my wife back home, and I was like, okay, day 2, day 3. At this point, it was pretty much putting notches on the wall.
You were on different timelines as well.
You were different timelines because I was doing the morning, so I was staying up doing the night, so I can sleep during the day, so we can sort of have communications in there. Wow. You know, I mean, you wasn't going anywhere, so it's like, hey, the same scene out the window. So it's like, might as well live in your own world.
It is like a movie, and I think the whole story, mate. The whole story of your come up or whatever
it's been
a movie,
crazy, man. And honestly, at the time you don't see it. At the time you just want to get this one thing, because at the time I was just thinking, okay, I just want to get this one thing. And I remember the time as well, we were so broke and everything else. I'm thinking, look, if I do well in this show, at least I'll walk away with $4,000. You know, coming second sometime, I could walk away with something. So at least, you know, it's worth something. So for me, I'm like, look, it's worth it. Just stick it out for that. So it kind of went off, and then towards the ending of it, you know, this is where your great plan now, hey, plan meets fist, meet wall. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay. At that point, I think, you know, people, because what happened, I was working a full-time job and I got time off to do that. 2020, taking time off and going traveling away, most jobs they frown against. They just like, no. If I said I was going to South Korea, and I worked in a nursing home as a maintenance nursing home. Already it was like, yo, regardless if in the UK somebody's not allowed to go there, it was very frowned upon. So I was like, okay. So I didn't say anything. I was like, look, I'm just taking some time off. So went off. So by the time I was in my second week, you know, I was making sure I didn't post anything. I didn't tell anybody, because like, I want to keep that shit hush. I didn't want to know. Second week, you know, people found out, because what happened, the promoters, they wanted to promote the show, but the Korean guys are buying tickets. They didn't believe I was here.
Oh, right.
They was like, we can promote the show, because they think it's full of shit. They think you are not here. So they say, okay, Sam, can you do a video real quick, like 5 minutes, a 1 minute video saying you're in Korea, you're in quarantine, you're doing the show. So I did a video, sent it to them. They posted it up. Everybody saw it, and then all of a sudden, because at the time I didn't even see it as I didn't see it as a big deal. I just saw it was like, oh, it's my personal challenge. It was what I wanted to do. It's what I was willing to do. I didn't even think most people would take it as a big deal. And then when people saw it, all of a sudden, it became a big deal. Everybody was talking about, what the hell, what? And they're watching a video of me running on the spot and everything. They're like, what the hell is this?
That's some rocky shit.
You know, I'm like, holy shit. And then obviously I'm getting, you know, MD and all them, they want to interview, they want to see what's going on. So I'm doing interview in the hotel room while I'm here. I'm like, this is it. This is my thing. I've been here for over 10 days now, blah, blah. So, you know, and that's where I then met Fuad, because he was one of the people that wanted to interview me with that situation. And he's like, dude, this is crazy. Like, who does this? So he did with the interview, and I told him about it. You know, I laughed about it. I was like, look, this is the situation. This is it. I wanted to do this. This is what it is. So we kind of did that interview, and afterwards he kind of like, okay, it blew over, and that was it. And then what happened was, towards the ending of that stint, okay, the show, the day I was about to come out, finally reach my 14 days, I'm like, yes, did it, 14 days, I'm out, free man. Promoters called me that morning. I'm supposed to waking up, time of my life, I'm leaving tonight, because they literally leave you there to the minute you came in. So if you came in on the night on the first day, you have to leave on the night on the 14th day. So they don't even give you any. I'm like, God, these people are cool.
Tight ship.
You know, nice shit. They be tight. I'm like, what? Like 2 hours is gonna make a difference, you know. But then, you know, promoters called me that morning. And he said, look, Korea, we're going back into lockdown.
Oh my God.
And we can't host the show. We're gonna have to cancel the show. I'm like,
you got to be kidding me.
14 days. At this point, you can just imagine what that. I was just like, you know what? I just cut the phone off. I'm like, I just went back to bed. I was like, there's no words. There's nothing that could express what I'm feeling right now. I just went back to sleep. And I woke up and I told my mom, I was like, yo, you ain't gonna believe this, but yeah, this is what's happening. So the crushingness of it is just, it's overwhelming. It's just completely overwhelming. Same day, somebody at work, my job at the time, Googled me. Right. Don't know why anybody would think, He's on social media, but let me Google him.
Yeah, yeah.
He's not posting anything. Let me just Google and see whatever. So they Googled, and what happened was the videos of interviews I've done popped up.
Mate,
I'm in South Korea. So, being a nice person that he is, he took it to work to tell all of them that, hey, this guy's in South Korea and everything else. So, call from my job. Don't bother coming back.
This is someone as well that you were quite tight with at work. I remember you telling me this story, and that's like your boy dobbing you in.
Yep, exactly that. Bad. So, jobs, like...
To that guy, fuck that guy, man.
Yeah.
You know, so, job's gone.
Yeah.
Show's gone.
That's a bad day.
I'm here, and I'm like...
That is a bad day.
Life. You know, now at this point I'm thinking, okay, when I get back home, I gotta go find a new job. I gotta find, do this. This is, in time of Corona, you're trying to find a new job.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, this is bad, And then at that point, you're literally at the ends meet. You just what can I do? And you start feeling stupid because you're thinking, why did you think this was a good idea? And what were you thinking? How was it? And I remember one time, I had a conversation with my friend before I went off there, and I told him about the situation, told him what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And I remember he said to me one thing. He was like, and I was like, I don't know if I should do that. This is a bit stupid idea, and he goes, Sam, I have a feeling that this moment will going to change your life. If you decide to do it, it will change your life forever. If you don't, it will change your life forever. And I was like, okay, all right, that was deep. Friends. Well, I just thought, didn't really pay much home to it. I was like, okay, so I should do it then. He said, yeah, go for it. Why you got nothing to lose? Go for it. Okay. So went in. So when that all started happening, I was like, damn. He said it was going to change my life forever. I didn't think you were thinking positively. Yeah. I was like, damn, this is it's really that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, this is all gone to crap. This is all done. And then the next day, coming out of quarantine and everything else, Fuad called me up. He was like, bro, man, everybody's watching your interview, man. They love it. They're so intrigued by it. Are you not under contract? I was like, under contract? I'm like, dude, what the hell is that? I'm like, of course I'm like, no. I'm like, look, he's like, how you getting around? I'm like, I'm paying all this myself, man. I'm like, overtime. This is all me.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, I thought you were under contract. I was like, no. And he was like, okay, give me a minute, I'll be right back. And I'm like, huh? And I'm thinking, no. And then he calls me back up and he's like, Sam, I want you to join my team. I want you in Hostile. I've just started my company. You're the perfect fit for it. I want you in Hostile. You got to be in it.
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm just like, you're kidding me. He's like, yeah. He goes, what do you want? And I was like, well, I just lost my job, so hell, I'm all yours. What do we want? Yeah. And and that's how we linked up in that one. I was like, hell. And at that point, I'm like, okay. When you are literally at your ends meet, you're as low as you can possibly be, and you're literally at the point where you just be like, it's all done. A lifeline just got thrown at you, and I'm like, holy shit. And I called my wife. I remember calling my wife up and saying, yeah, you ain't gonna believe what just happened. And she's like, what? And she's expecting another bad news at this point. Yeah. It's like, fucking, it's all going to shit now. What the hell we're gonna do? And I was like, yeah, I think Fuad just want me to join Hostile. Like she's like, what? I was like, yeah, it's a sponsorship. Yeah. And we are all like, are you freaking, like, the disbelief in it. It's like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Is this for real? At the same time, you don't want to be too excited because you're thinking, it might not even be for real. It might just be talk. It might just, So, been a few days out of the hotel. At this point, they put me in a B&B. And the promoters, basically, what they've done is they've said, okay, you know what, Korea is only going to be locked down for 2 weeks. After that, we can try to pull the show after 2 weeks. If you're willing to stay in Korea, you can still compete in the show. But if you leave, that's the end of it. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, what do we do? Do I just call it quits and go back to the UK? Yeah. Or do I stay for another 2 weeks? At this time, I'm no longer in a hotel. I'm out in public. I can go to a gym. I can eat. I can do things properly. I'm like, well, I ain't gonna, at this point, I ain't gonna, what else have you lose? I'm already here. So I'm like, sorry, give me another 2 weeks. So they got me a hotel outside. They got me everything I need. They put everything there, and I started training in the normal gym and actually eating and whatnot. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, we're here for, it's coming up to, at this point, you're like, okay, 4 weeks in, let's dig it, And then it's like, we kind of gonna go through that. And Fuad obviously called me and he said, officially signed a contract with Hostile. So I'm like, okay. And even then, you're still kind of like reserved because you're thinking, it seems too good to be true.
Your self-esteem is probably quite low at that point.
Oh man, as low as it can be.
That year and everything, innit?
As low as it can be. So you can't even, when something good happens, you don't even know how to take it because you're so afraid that it's going to be another bad. It's just raising your hopes up to bring you down again. So you don't want to get too caught up in how excited or happy you are about it. You're just thinking, okay, maybe this might happen. And then when the promoters are saying, oh, the show might go on again, you'll say like, okay, but how is this could break? I mean, after so many show disappointments, you can't even you can't even fathom that.
You're walking a tightrope.
You are walking a tightrope in it, you know, and it felt like that, and you know, you kind of staying down. I remember even the peak week, we're doing the peak week process for the show, and the promoter's going, oh, it might be cancelled any minute.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
So you're prime peak for a show, and they're saying you're expecting any minute. You can get a call any minute going, we've been shut down. We can't do it. So you literally, and it's, I mean, this is not even, at this point, you can't even call it a prep. You just going, it's a hope thing. It's like,
just get the stage.
Just get the shade, you know?
At this point as well, Mel's still really, they're your coach, right?
Yeah. She was still coaching me.
Together.
She was doing it together. She was back in the UK giving me tips and things and, okay, eat this and let's see how you look from the UK, you know? And this is the first time we are doing things over the phone.
Yeah.
So we're trying to like sort of figure this out. I'm by myself in Korea. Now, funny story. Trying to shave by yourself.
Oh yeah, wow.
Not gonna happen quite much, is it?
No.
This one is like, oh, god damn it. And then tan by yourself.
Oh shit.
Little things that we didn't even. So I'm like, holy crap. So you can imagine trying to tan in a hotel room by myself. It was everywhere.
Oh yeah.
It was like it was everywhere. I'm like, sod it, I don't care. It's here. It's gonna happen, you know. So yeah, we kind of, the show then went on, and obviously when they were doing the show, they said just because of the blowback they were having, they had to keep the show quiet. They couldn't bring it out publicly. They had to really silence the show, and that's the only way they could happen. Yeah. So they said, we can't tell anybody, we can't let anyone know. This is the only way we can run the show. If they find out, we're gonna have to shut it down. I was like, okay, well, this is very, very bizarre. Strange. No audience, no nothing. A stage in a dark setup, judges. That was it.
Shit.
And you're like, this is crazy. This
the cloak and dagger.
Yeah. So I remember even walking to the venue, because the venue was literally behind my hotel. I was walking to it by myself, and I got there, and they were like, "Okay, we're gonna have to take your phone."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, I can't even have my phone on me." He's like, no, we're gonna have to keep your phone. We can't allow no recording, no footage, no nothing like that. I'm like, I'm already by myself. I'm like, and now I don't have a phone. I'm like, shit. So we're walking, and I'm sitting there waiting. I'm going, I can't even call and find out. I can't even, like, I'm just standing there like, so your mind, everything is just, and you're just like, okay, this is very, very, this is the weirdest show I've ever done like that before. So we did it. We went on stage, we went through the poses and everything else and finished. And then I got second in the show. So I'm like, you come off the show and you want to analyze what, you know, you want to talk to somebody, say, so what?
Yeah.
Nobody talked to
Nothing.
me. No one saw it. No one watched it. You ain't got no photos. You ain't got no pictures. You're literally just like, well, that just happened. And you go back to your hotel and you're like, call me, Mrs. What happened? I came second. Why? I don't know. What happened? I thought I was winning. I can't tell you anything. I can't even show you. I'm just sitting there like, well,
were they official judges, or did they get
official? It was obviously where you couldn't get judges from the States to come into the room. They had to pick the Korean judges to judge the show, but that was it. So you kind of like, well, this has happened, and you know when you come home after that, and you come home and your life has changed. You know, when you've always been used to working full time for a long time, you come home and you get back and you're like, damn, it's weird. It felt extremely uncomfortable, because for the first week I was afraid to go outside during the daytime. Between the hours between 9 and 5 o'clock, I didn't want my neighbors to see me, because they're thinking, who's that bum hanging off and bunking off work or something. So I was like, it felt really weird for me for the first time to be in that position. And it just felt like, okay, this is your job now. And it was frightening, you know, because you've always sort of had that self-reliance of, okay, I work, I get paid, whatever. But now it's like, you're doing this as a job. So even though you're happy about it, like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever, at the same time, it felt like something so cherishable that you were so afraid of losing it that it scared you. You know, and you were like, oh man, I don't know, you know, I don't know how to handle this. I want to be happy, but I can't be too happy because it might not last too long. So we kind of had like a 2020 that was pretty much a year downs and then ups, but it was some remarkable start. It definitely then kind of triggered on to 2021.
Yeah.
And then sort of things then picked up from there because of that. But that was where that break initially started.
It just looks like now that 2020 was the big test.
Oh yeah, it really felt like it.
Let's test this guy.
Yeah, let's see how much he wants it. Yeah, and that's why I said, like, now when things happen now, and I'm looking at it now, I'm going, you know what, man? After that year, nothing can be that. Can be negative. Nothing can be that bad.
No.
This, you've seen how much you wanted. You've done it. You're in this position now. Would you have dreamt 2 years ago you would be here? You'd be like, not in your wildest dreams would you even thought that was possible.
And I don't think half the industry believed it at that point, because I remember conversations pre-Prague.
Yeah.
When I was over there, the conversations pre-Prague, I think most people said,
no.
Yeah.
He hasn't got the minerals kind of chat, but it's just gone.
Yeah, crazy.
And everyone's on side.
Yeah, because it's something where you then, like you said, you sort of realize deeply that you got opportunity now.
Yeah.
You don't have to work anymore. You don't have to sort of try to juggle things anymore. If you really now, someone is not paying you to just to, be sponsored. You're paying you to see, okay, you take it as lifeline. How much you really want to show us what we're giving you, finally giving you a lifetime now.
Yeah.
You talk a big talk about if only I had this help, and if I only, let's see what you can do with it. So it felt like, okay, take that shit and run the hell with it and don't stop.
I think so many people can learn from that as well, because I think almost nowadays people expect.
Yeah.
People get handed things easy.
Yeah.
And they don't really truly know and understand and cherish what they have.
No.
But you take that opportunity with like both hands and you fucking run.
You gotta run with it, and you cherish it every day. Even now, you never stop to take it for granted. You never stop to say, I deserve it, and you never do, because it's like you do know that it can end any minute.
Yeah,
it's not guaranteed. Nothing is literally bodybuilders. You go to the gym. If I go to the gym, I hurt myself now.
Game over.
Good run.
Yeah, man.
So you cherish every moment of it, and you really show your appreciation, because no one had to give you opportunity, especially there where you were then.
Yeah.
No sponsorship in their right mind would have looked at you then and say, I didn't have a big social media following. I wasn't known. I wasn't winning shows. I wasn't doing well. Why? What do I have to gain from giving you a sponsorship? All you just show me is, you're hungry for a title, but you're hungry to compete. But what have you got to gain?
I bet even Fuad now thinks, that was a decision and a half.
Oh man, he cracked up. He even told me that. he even told me that a few times. Because after we won the Arnold and we came backstage and I sat down, I got this trophy in front of my leg, and I'm sitting down there and I'm taking a minute. I'm in disbelief.
Yeah.
I'm looking, going, oh my god. He comes in and he sits next to me and he's sitting there going, and we look at each other and going, he goes, Samson, you just won the Arnold.
Yeah.
And I looked at him going, we just won the Arnold. And he looked at me and we were like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And we're like, holy shit. And it just, you couldn't, because you've seen where we started and where it is there.
Yeah.
In just a short time, you just we were both just like, we both didn't expect it. We didn't even fathom that. And you just kind of looking, going, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like, wow. And this is one where you're thinking, you don't make those moments. You remember them very well, because you do not believe the shock and the idea of that happening is beyond.
I was going to ask, because I do know from conversation with yourself, conversation with Milos, I know that self-belief wise, you're probably the person who believes in yourself the least.
Yeah.
In terms of, someone says you're going to win the Olympia.
Yeah.
You don't believe it yourself.
No.
But how did you go into the Olympia and then the Arnolds? Was it a case of you wanting a place in or wanting a win? And then how has that changed now?
Man, we're basically, when we were going to the Olympia, when we qualified Olympia and when we did the Arnold before the 2022, we became fourth, and then we knew we had a big year to then go into Olympia. For me, the way I looked at it, especially looking that we were improving, I was like, okay, if I can improve enough in that same time, technically, I could just make top 10.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, top 10 in my first Olympia, this is a big milestone for me. This is like, wow, top 10. Woo. For me, I just held it out, okay, this is good enough for me to sort of walk away and going, it's been an amazing year.
Yeah.
Fourth at the Arnold Classic, top 10 at the Olympia, best year ever. So for me, that was all it is. Milos was like, I want you in first call out. And I'm like, yeah, you do realize what first call out means, right? He's like, yeah, you're going to be first call out. And I'm like, so the whole prep, he kept on drumming that in. I want you first call out. And the whole day, I'm like, look, I just want top 10. I just want top 10. And then when you saw the lineup got bigger and bigger, and they got 30 guys, and I'm like, and he's going, I want you first call out. I'm looking, going, dude, just, okay. I'm happy with top 10. I'm really happy with top 10 at this point. So when we came to the Olympia, we did that. It was momentous shock to me. Yeah. Milos acted like he felt like he already knew it.
He knew, yeah.
For me, it was jaw dropping. It was like, holy shit! Like, are you kidding me? Like, and I'm standing there on stage, and you're on stage. I remember when they did the first call out, and we were standing all in a group with like all these guys. And honestly, when you're on stage and you see everybody, and you can see the names, you can see. You're almost like you're in shock. You at that point you're thinking, I'm lucky just to be here to say I'm one of them. Yeah, that's good enough. Yeah. And then there's like, okay, first call out, Hadi, Nick, what's it? Brandon, Rami, and then they call Samson. And at that moment, I almost felt like I literally almost shit myself. I was like, you know when someone calls you and be like, oh, did I hear that properly? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, all right. So you walk up and it's like you're going, because I remember I was going through the poses, and in my head I'm thinking, I'm in first call out on Olympia, I'm in first call out on Olympia, I'm in first call out on Olympia. That's the whole thing. I was just
every single time.
I'm like, oh my god, you know. And then you finish up and you went back up and they did the second call out, and we were standing. I remember I was standing with the guys. I'm starting to come up, Nick, Brandon. They were like, "Congratulations, bro. We knew you could do it. Congratulations." I'm like, oh my god, this is like just over. And I went up to Ben's wife, because she was standing backstage. She came up, she was crying, and I was crying. I was like, I can't believe. She's like, no, not now. You still go wait to do. You still go do it. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Come down. So we come up to the side of the stage, and they was like, okay. And then they called me out again with the guys in second call out. So I was like, well, this is still not that bad. I'm happy with this. And then we did the call out then, and then Nick, and Steve then goes, okay, Hunter, William, what's his name, Andrew, all back in line. Samson stayed there. And that moment felt like, okay, it's not luck. It's not, oh, you're just gifted. They've put you against everything, and you belong in that first call out. Yeah. At that point, I think that was the first moment where I felt like confidence now.
You could see it on stage.
It felt like, okay,
oozing.
This is confirmation. It wasn't just, ooh, that was a lucky break. You are here.
Self-belief level.
Yeah, it just went through the roof. Yeah. So when we finished the Olympia, from there going to the Arnold, I looked at them. We went back and we looked at the photos and everything else, and we like, you didn't look as good as you were leading up to the show as you were on the stage. You're like, you could look better than this. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I know if I grind even harder like we are, I'm always better the second show around. And I know by the time it comes around to Arnold, I'm going to look a lot better. So I'm thinking, if I'm here at 6th place and I'm going up against these guys here at Arnold in a few weeks, I know I'm going to be better. Yeah. And if I'm going to be better, I know I can win it. I just know I can win it. I just feel that sort of, why shouldn't I? Don't try to hold yourself back anymore. Don't try to say, well, I'm actually believe you can win it. Really take it in. Yeah. So when we kind of run up to the Arnold, the whole time I was like, I'm going to win the Arnold. Yeah. And I believed this so much that I was speaking to Mrs. Every time we talked about it, I was like, yeah. So after I win, I was like, I'm going to win the Arnold. Yeah. And spoke to Fuad, and he was sort of asking me, like, what do you think about coming down? I was like, what if I come in better? What if I come in 10% better? Yeah. In every form, I don't know. What do you think will happen? And he goes, oh, you win it. I goes, yeah. Well, I'm going to be better. And I will win it. And he was like, oh, this is not. Yeah. This is something new. This is new. I'm not even. So when obviously the Arnold happened, and it then happened, even for me going in, I was like, yeah, I'm going to win it. And then when it actually happened, it's like, oh shit, that actually happened. It's like, okay, I was hoping I believe I could win, but I didn't think that belief would then become that reality. I was like, oh shit, it happened. Yeah. And it's really, it changes your whole mindset. It makes you feel like, okay, the idea where they say, oh, if you believe in yourself for long enough, you really truly believe in yourself, you can achieve something.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, actually, maybe there is something to that. Maybe there really is.
There's definitely defining moments over the career that has unlocked next level potential.
Yeah.
And that self-belief is almost unlocked the next level of your potential.
Yeah.
And I think now you can already see the rate of progression is just like, it's fucking gone cosmic, hasn't it? And I think people are in trouble.
Yeah.
Big time. Fucking big time, man.
Well, it's just amazing, you know. And you know, you kind of look back on all these things. And, you know, I smile about it now, and I know how hard it was at the time. But you look back on it, and you're thinking, man, how lucky am I? Like, how genuinely feel, man. Especially where it felt like it was just yesterday where I was sitting in there, like as you said, with the tools and everything else.
Yeah.
And I'm working away, and I'm thinking, man, one day, I know that it's not soon, but it will happen one day. No matter what, it will happen one day. And then it feels like you just leapfrogging, and now you're here.
Yeah.
And you can remember that conversation very vividly, like sitting there playing around, playing plug, saying one day, and you're thinking, how does your mind? How do you grasp that change such a short time?
It's incredible, bro.
It's crazy, you know, and you can't feel nothing but just so happy and just like grateful for it. You can't do anything but that.
How have the family like absorbed it?
Man, they've been in shock, man. For them, it's almost like, you know, for a long time they almost feel like they've seen how hard I worked and everything else, and they sort of thought, okay, you know what, you probably get it one day, but they never really see it. But now that it's here, they're like, and now they really like, you can do it, you can do it, we believe you can do it and everything else, and they really showing that commitment to it, and they're so proud of it and everything else. And there's, you know, it's like when I say back in 2017, they really had their doubts. They were like, you know, you were chasing this bodybuilding thing, and we all looked at it going, he's changing some you know, stupid hobby that's probably gonna get him killed or get him in trouble. Do nothing positive at all. Why he's just wasting his time? Why don't he focus on a proper job and everything else? And now you're here, and they're like, man, wow. Because even in 2020 when I went to Korea, even then there was another big doubt of does he know what he's doing? And now it's like, man, you know what, hell.
I think a lot of the time as bodybuilders we can have the blinkers on. With tunnel vision. We don't see what other people see. And I've realised that coming away from bodybuilding, I look at some of the things that people do and I think, you're absolutely mental. You're nuts. And now I can understand why people say the stuff to
us. Like, what are you doing?
But you have got to go for it.
You have got to go to it. And this is the
proof.
You know, and for me, like my brother and my sister both came up to me and they both said the same thing separately. They didn't even know they said. It was like, since seeing what you did, it made us more open to the idea of actually challenging ourselves and doing things that we normally would be like, not safe, don't want to take a chance, don't want to take a risk. He goes, since after that, I'm a lot more open in my life on actually taking risks and taking a chance, because you never know what would happen. And I felt like, man, damn, okay.
The story is inspiring as fuck, bro. Like I said, it's like a movie, and you said Rocky. It's the real life Rocky story, but in the bodybuilding lane.
The only difficult thing is now is making life seem hard.
So you gotta stay up in that. You know,
you gotta do something else.
Yeah, man, because it's true. Because it's that. Because I always kind of like keep that mindset going. Like, don't get comfortable. Don't ever get comfortable. Don't ever sit there and be like, well, it's all good now, right? So why do I need to struggle? Don't get comfortable.
Because you've tasted the other side, though. I think this was said on the recent podcast with Fuad. I think Ben might have said is that you've tasted the other side of life, where you've grafted, blue collar, you know, middle class working, grafting, and now because you know what that is, you'll never take this moment for granted. And I think, you know, she's gone out now, but Mel will definitely keep you grounded.
She would definitely keep me grounded.
Put you in your place if you do start veering off to the left. Because she's a massive support factor for you as well. I've seen it firsthand, and you know, I've seen what she does for you back home and that. And
man, she's. I mean, that's it. Like, honestly, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. She's the rock that keeps me stable. She's the rock that this progression that you see is because she always reins me back in and go, right, don't get distracted. You got a job. Don't get distracted. You got to do this. What's your plan for this off season? What's your plan here? What are we gonna do? And she, you know, her and Milos now, they're like this mind. You know, they both talk and they both said, you know, Milos will ask me, "Oh, Sam, how you doing this today? How you looking?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm looking good. I'm feeling good." You're like, "Okay, cool. Mel, how's he doing today? How's he doing?" I was like, "No, he was
for the real answer."
It was like, so they sort of created this relationship where they now know how to pick up the signs and how to pick up things and how to really make me come out my best. And it's amazing, man. It's really nice to see.
So good, bro.
That's insane.
Fucking so good.
The next show will be the Olympia.
The next show will be Olympia. The Olympia. And this is the thing, people are like, man, how you feeling about the Olympia? Like, do you feel you can win it? And I'm thinking, do you know how weird it is to be thinking that? To even be even contemplating that? Because it's not about like, oh, you don't believe it or you do believe it. It's the fact is, how can literally this time last year, we just did the Olympia and we just did the Arnold, we were 4th.
Yeah.
We were trying to improve to go into the Olympia as our first Olympia. This time last year, where our mindset and everything was then, everybody even seeing it then, who would have thought a year later you'd be like, yeah, you know, if he improves a little bit, he could probably win the Olympia this year. It's unthinkable. It's just you can I don't understand. Like, I can't even take it in. I'm just like, it seems like a fairy tale. It doesn't even seem real. So you look at the Olympia going, holy shit, like, well, am I really going to be training like, yeah, you got to win the Olympia this year? Like, how?
But winning the Arnold is just, it proves it, doesn't it?
From the corner,
and you beat Nick.
Yeah, but this is what I mean. So every time I doubt it, I always go, but you just won the Arnold. Why are you thinking that? And I'm thinking, because I know my work rate always stays the same. He never slacks off. Yeah. But I never ever value where it will take me in terms of progression. I always think, okay, just work hard today. Work hard today. Let's just see the result. Work hard today. When you get the result, then you believe it. It's not the other way around. I see what I want and I work hard to get it. Just work hard. Keep working hard, and let's just see where it gets you.
It's the want and need thing, that is.
Yeah.
Not being too needy for that Olympia title.
Yeah.
But obviously you want it.
You want it.
Just work towards it. Forget about needing it.
Yeah, just want it. You know.
And your career's gone in cycles anyway, because if you look back to like that real good year that you had competing there, you were cleaned up on the amateur circuit, won everything, and then you're like, fucking hell, I'm really doing this. And then you go forward a couple of years, you have a really bad year, 2017. Then you go and get your pro card. Then you get your first pro win.
And it's just
done it again with the Arnolds, and it's going to do it again with the Olympia for 100%.
For sure, man, it'd be crazy.
Inevitable.
I think we've got some good battles coming up in the next 2-3 years.
It'd be good, man.
Yeah,
some good back and forth.
Definitely. You know,
great crop of bodybuilders now.
Absolutely.
And it must feel amazing to be at the forefront of it all,
man,
as well.
It's I don't even know how to take it in, honestly, because it's crazy to even think about that. That's the position you're in. It's just it's unreal. It really feels that way, you know. And you try to be like, okay, because for me it's like, okay, I gotta make sure that I'm on the ball. I can't. You can't even slip for a tiny bit. That rate you already used to training, you gotta overstep it now. You gotta push it to the next level now. So it's exciting. It's really exciting, man. It's like, okay. It gives you that revitalization when you go to the gym, where you're like, you're not just training now just to do well in the Olympia. You're training with the idea of you could possibly win the Olympia. And I was like, shit.
Are you ready for Pittsburgh?
Oh man, I am ready for Pittsburgh. It's gonna be a lot of fun,
because that's the one where people start talking, isn't it? Do you know who else is going?
So we got Rami, we got Derek, we got Sean, we got Nick, we got Hunter.
Wow.
Who else? I think that was it. I don't know if I'm missing anything.
I don't think there's any more needed there, man.
No, that's only a small lineup of the best in the world.
Man. I mean, even being invited to guest posts at Pittsburgh, even that is like, man.
When you invited to that show,
Pittsburgh, like, this is the big one now.
That's confirmation. That's like, you're in the first call out the Olympia.
You're in the mix.
You are in the mix.
Damn.
Let's fucking see it.
Damn.
Just don't do what Rami did and don't turn up.
Dude, I'm like, look, even though I gotta swim there, I'm like, I'm coming. Yeah. Don't worry.
You probably would as well. I'm like, after the Korea story,
I'll find a way there.
There's one guy you can count on to turn up.
Oh yeah, that one definitely. Whatever it takes, I'm like, I'm coming. You know.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah, man, it's been an amazing journey, though.
We did have a couple of quick fires that I'll hit you just from the guys on Instagram, and just do these quick fire because obviously we've had you a while. Who is your all-time favorite bodybuilder and biggest inspiration?
Favorite bodybuilder, physique-wise, Flex Wheeler. Inspiration, Dexter Jackson.
Yep.
You know, Dexter in his career is pretty much the embodiment of a perfect bodybuilding career. He won every show. He came out of it healthy. He's looking well. He's such a chill dude, man.
Yeah.
And for some guy that's achieved as much as he has, he's so grounded and so chilled about it. And I always look at him going, man, you know what? If you're gonna ever learn, take an example of where he used to have a great career, just look at that.
The Blades.
Yeah.
We've got one. Olympia championship can't be too far away. I think what they mean is by winning the Olympia. Realistically, when do you think it'll happen? So I'm putting that down to your first Olympia win.
I don't know, man.
It's a difficult one to answer.
It's a difficult one to happen. It's like you train every year to win it. I mean, from this year, you're training to win it. You're training. That's the mindset you're going into the gym with. It's a mindset you're training with it. You know, you're doing everything with it. Would it happen this year? That's a whole different ballgame. But would you be improved enough? And if you improve enough, would they give it to you? Would you actually win it?
Yeah.
That was all I got to do. I don't need to think about, okay, I'm going to win it. I just have to think about,
just improve.
I'm going to improve.
Yeah.
Improve as hell, and then let the chips lie where they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Obviously, my people, Milos in the States. Milos talks a lot. He talks a lot.
I know his chats.
Yep. But his heart is always in the right place, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
he truly takes care of my well-being and looks after me and helps me out where he can. Fuad, like I said, you heard the story, man. Nobody in their right mind would have taken a chance on me in the position I was in. Nobody would have seen something there. You know, a lot of people didn't. You know, he saw something enough to give me opportunity and say, look, I'm going to give you a chance. Show me what you can do with it. And I couldn't thank him enough because he literally changed my life, you know. So him, I gotta say, Fuad, Summer, Hostile Team, shout out to them, awesome people. And then Chris Jones, guys at the training, the gym, they watching everything, and they were probably watching this and let me know when they see me next. Hey, I watch that podcast, and their guys they supported me right from back then when I was still working full time trying to do this. They always been there, and they're even there now. And then most importantly, my wife Mel. We came into this together. You know, we didn't know anything about this world. We didn't know anything about this life. We didn't know that it would take us this far. We didn't know anything. We just saw it and go, okay, you know what? This is something that we want to pursue. Something that we want to do as a team. And we've gone every. I think, I've never, other than South Korea, we've never done a show where she hasn't been there.
Yeah,
I've never done a show where she hasn't been by my side the whole time. And every step, every journey, she's been there supporting me every single way. Every breakdown, every nutcase, you know, as he point I've been through, she's had my back either way. And you know what? She's just the greatest, man. Her, I got to give a shout out to, you know, most importantly. So yeah,
love it.
Amazing.
That's quality, man. Thank you for your time today, bro.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you guys for having me.
No problem, man. Anytime. We're gonna head to the gym. We have a tickle or something. I'm not sure. You're doing any bits and bobs?
I'm gonna be doing some. I've got legs programmed today, but I'm gonna watch you two beasts go at it.
By the time this drops, your news will be out there anyway. So we're not gonna say on you unless you want to. But this will be out in 3 weeks' time.
Oh, will it?
Yeah, because we got Jack Thorburn next, which you would have watched hopefully.
All right.
And then this drops 2 weeks after that. So if you want to say anything on you, I won't drop it before you. I'll cut it out if it hasn't.
Cut it out if it hasn't. Well, it should be like then, because this Wednesday, which is 2 days after today, but it's Monday now, I'll be on the One Show because I am in the new series of the Gladiators.
Yes. Congrats. Well done, man. Yeah. Congratulations.
So, I would normally snap the chance up to train with Samson, but I did chess yesterday actually, not knowing what you two guys are training. But I have a training program that I need to get ready for this new thing, be as powerful, as strong as possible. So my gladiator name is Giant. See me on the BBC.
That is so awesome, man. Honestly, that is one of the best things ever. Honestly, to have you do that, man. I'm really, really happy for you, man. Really.
Yeah, it's gave me a new purpose, a new direction, which is what I needed to come away from bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And we can speak like this on in future podcasts, but I think everyone could learn a thing from that is to plan the way out as well as the way in. The way in and the journey through it's unplanned.
No.
You need a plan out.
Yeah, true.
For definite.
True.
And that's something that you'll have to come to terms with in years to come, because you're fresh, you're young. You look like a young 37 that is coming into his prime, taking care of business. I mean,
well, I still got to start planning now, man. But I still got the energy to. So
yeah, for sure.
But honestly, take an example from yourself and knowing that there is an outplan and there is something you have to think well in advance of that.
Like you said about Dexter, get out healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we all want.
Exactly, you know. So yeah, man, dude, I'm really happy for you, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, man.
He's absolutely awesome.
Awesome,
man.
Woo.
Hey.
So thank you very much for watching another episode of the Beautiful Struggle podcast. Thank you to Chosen Few. Thank you to Samson. Well done to this motherfucker. And we shall see you on the next episode.
Hey.
Peace.